Our fortnightly live stream over here on YouTube, and thank you very much for joining us. And talking about joining us, you might look at the couch and think there's an unfamiliar face, but I'd just like to first of all say it's my great friend. It's the legendary lecturer, the one that we all turn to in times of crisis. It is Ian Clark. So thank you very much for joining us, and he is a gem of a bloke. We've also got some bloke in the middle called Joe Robinson, is it, or something?
Yeah, you
like
may have
that?
heard of him.
Okay, so Joe's joined us and he's replaced Gordon. So where is Gordon at the moment, Joe?
Gordon is not in Tenerife, he's not in 11erife, he's gone one better, and he's in 12erife.
Yeah, we would have to, wouldn't we? We would have to. And we've also got returning guests. We've got Paul Elcock back for the second time as a member of the couch.
Thank you very much, it's an honour.
Yeah, and Paul's from Docs-Store, and he's got a really good discount for you on a book that will help you, but we'll come to that later on in the actual live stream, so make sure you stay tuned for that. We like to always get into our first story, and our first subject was part of the title. It was all about making the most of your opportunities. Now, last time out, Joe, we talked about making the most of our opportunities in these difficult circumstances, and we can't mention the R word, can we, this week?
No, we're not going to say Routledge.
That's recession.
Oh, sorry.
The R word's recession.
My bad, sorry.
We're certainly not going to mention Routledge, and it was 12erife.
It'll be 13erife by the time
Yeah.
we end the broadcast. Yeah.
Here at eFIXX, we call him a ton of grief. That's what we call him. So we won't be mentioning the R word being...
Recession, we're not mentioning.
We're not mentioning Routledge.
Or recession.
No, okay. So we talked about the great opportunity that offers up to us. And what was that opportunity, to remind us?
Yeah, so basically, it always seems recessions, obviously, bad times, things get quite difficult, but actually, what tends to happen is that new fields open up, don't they? New opportunities open up. And I found that as part of my career a couple of times, actually, during kind of fairly disastrous times when, you know, I took a sideways turn and actually it worked out better.
Right, okay. So we suggested in our last live stream that that opportunity might be something around battery, solar, and maybe linking it to EV, because we think in April, maybe next year, that the new government's probably, we've been 2 weeks, so we've probably had 3 more governments since we were last on. Is that correct? Just about that time?
Yeah.
Something like that. We've had several government changes. And this one suggesting that the energy cap that we thought was going to be for 2 years in a previous iteration of the government might be reviewed in April, might be means tested, it might change, it might not even be in place. So, of course, that brings back into focus quite quickly the ability to generate your own energy. And we saw that as an opportunity. Now, if you think of some other opportunities, and we'll talk about them while we're here, if you can think about other opportunities, make sure you leave them in the comments of things that you think could be great when our times get difficult, and we're not mentioning the R word, are we?
We're not mentioning Routledge.
We're not mentioning Routledge. Okay, so with that in mind, Ian, you seem to swan up. You almost sneaked up on Lineside Studios because I didn't hear you coming. What's wrong with your car?
Well, that's because I heard you got an EV charging point, so I've come in the electric car today.
You have, and we will...
Not the smelly diesel.
No, we're going to lean into the story about maybe how you borrow electricity on a rotating basis, maybe later on, and maybe that's something we'll do in the plug and socket. So make sure you stay on for that one, because you've got a novel way of borrowing electricity from your current employer, haven't you?
Relocated.
Right, okay. Not just for yourself either. Okay, so with that in mind, you've obviously got the EV car. So you've got one EV car at home, is that right?
We've got 2 in the house.
2 EV
My
cars.
son led the charge on EV cars.
Okay, so we've got a multitask. So we had a comment on the thing he's waved at me and your eyes. Come on, tell us a comment.
It's a donation as well. We've had some... ZAR, is that Zambian Rand?
I think it's Rand.
Rand, yeah, Zambian Rand, 14 Zambian Rand from Dion Potgita. Isn't there a loop/PSC tester up for grabs?
Oh, right, okay.
Did you not read that because you couldn't read it?
Well, no, I'm in a world of trouble now. I saw Loop and PSC. I was like, what is that all about?
Well, thank you very much for the donation, first of all.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's really kind. So, back to your story, Ian. So you haven't got one EV car, you've got a couple of EV cars.
No, my son bought an EV car.
Okay, who got it first?
He got his car first. And having driven it a couple of times, I got a bit jealous, so I decided to order myself one.
Okay.
But having driven mine, he's now decided he's going to upgrade, and he's got a new one coming in a fortnight, 3 weeks' time, so I'm going to be...
It's the classic Electron envy.
Okay, so one-upmanship then.
Mine was nicer, but his is even better still. He's got all the whistles and bangs on his new one.
Okay.
So they've just emailed him last week to say it's ready on the 25th.
Wow, he's done well to actually get it through the door, hasn't he?
I think there's another challenging moment there. So I'm thinking about, we haven't talked about this off camera. So I've got a small child in my house, and they become a bigger child. I've got 2 of them, unfortunately, at the minute. I've suggested to the older one that he can leave home at 17, as his birthday is in December. He seems to be renaking that at the
No
moment.
chance,
And
no
it's
chance.
just it's not a very good idea. I think it's a terrific idea. But hang on a minute. Let's say, for instance, that we took a small amount of money off and we just called it board in my day. I don't know. There's a new word for. Yeah, you used to pay board, did
Lodge
you?
money.
Lodge money. Yeah, okay. So let's say we take off them, I don't know, £25 to contribute towards the shopping each week, and then they're plugging their car in every day. I would suggest they're taking more out of the bank than they're putting into it.
Ah, that's just the beginning of it. I think his mum still pays his mobile phone bill for him as well.
Yeah.
Oh dear. That's going to be difficult.
And he's 35 and living away.
So if I come back to this is something we didn't explore. So hang on a second. We've got an EV car, and all of a sudden, then the trip to the filling station that I had to take on my own and walk in there and pay. They're just going to come home and plug in at night and actually fill
Parks it up in the drive and plugs in.
Wow. Wow, that's the new con coming up. I think maybe the RFD tags are coming up.
There's your card, son.
It's who gets home first to plug it in, though, isn't it?
Don't drive it all at once.
There's something for you. Is that something you've considered? Okay, the small person in your house becomes a larger person and wants to drain all the electricity out of your house so they can run around their car for free. That seems interesting. Now, that's brought into focus energy in your house, hasn't it, Ian?
Yes, so we're looking now at other ways. Obviously, we're with Octopus Energy.
Right.
We've got some great tariff deals that they're overnight. It's similar to the old Economy 7.
Right.
After a certain time at night, in order to persuade you to move your charging into a later time of the day, so it's less loading, it's cheaper price. So we're charging overnight, but we are looking at other alternatives with 2 cars to support, and the price is going up. I think when we moved in, we was 11 or 12 pence a unit. We're now 38.
Wow, and that's not because you've got considerably older in the property. That's just probably the glimpse of 12 months has gone past.
About 12, 18 months. So we're looking at adding solar on the roof, and we'd more or less picked out and decided on a battery system.
Yeah.
Initially to put the batteries in first,
Yeah.
just a battery inverter system and charge it on this cheap electricity. Then, of course, our friends at My Energy there have launched Libby, so now we're a bit at shall we, shan't we, shall we?
that was a nice segue, wasn't it?
So that's great. So you've got a Zappi EV charger. I've seen it hanging on your wall. So you've got their ecosystem already in place, and the last piece of that ecosystem was the Libby.
Yeah.
And now she should be, I think, in wholesalers from very early part of next year, 2023. So you're now toying between waiting for.
Well, unfortunately, because of supply demand in the UK at the minute, we've had to wait for months and months for the batteries and stuff that we wanted to come into stock. We've literally got an email this last week to say the batteries and inverters now available to order.
Yeah.
So they're sat in the basket, but we haven't bought them yet. We're at that back in the debate stage.
Yeah. So how does that work then? So we're coming home from work and we're maybe in a state of requiring some charge, and you've got just the one charger on the wall. Okay, so is it first come, first charge? Is that how it works in your house?
It's whoever gets home first, I think.
I've got a funny feeling your car comes home quite well charged though, doesn't it, already?
Well, it does get a little bit of help now and again.
Oh, where does that come from then? Is it like some kind of solar? So is it the regain you get from braking? Is it topping it back up, is it?
That and
Are we going to have to blank out North Lindsay College for this part?
Let's not mention the consequence, huh?
Oh no, that would be wrong, wouldn't it? To let North Lindsay College know.
Do they deliver the EV charging course?
funnily enough, they do, yeah.
So would there be a working EV charging point somewhere near your parking
There
space?
might well be, yes.
Would you say you park in that parking space maybe
Not
about
all-
10 hours?
Not all the time. Sometimes I have to go in Samuel's car and park his in that place.
So hang on a second. So you sometimes borrow your son's car maybe that's low on electricity. Maybe you didn't get to your outlet at home and you decide to take his to work because you can bring it home full.
Not intentionally, of course.
No, okay.
It's coincidental.
I think they really want to get worried when the vehicle to grid starts happening, don't they? And you're finding that perhaps Ian's washing machine is being powered from college electricity. Oh, sorry, we're going to have to pause again. We've had another donation. Thank you, Gadget Man. That's really kind. $4.49. Question for Gary. I'll read it for you, Gary.
Yeah,
You've got
please,
glasses on. Where did you buy the smartphone hand grip you use for taking close-up footage in videos? I really need one of those.
Oh right, it's actually over there, and at some point I can probably try and grab a spare one. There's a squarer one that's really good. It's an online retailer.
Gordon's favourite.
Next day delivery. Yes. Okay. And the idea of that is obviously you've got 2 handles, and there's I think 3 or 4 cold shoe mounts on it, so you can put your different bits in. I think it's probably with inflation now, it's probably 16 notes. I bet I paid 12.
Yeah.
They are brilliant.
They
We've
are
got
really
several
good, yeah.
floating around.
Yeah.
If we can find
I
a
used
spare
one
one, I'll try and bring it in later on to show you what they are. But no, thank you for that. So you've probably just donated £4.50 that could have knocked
John's
on
quite a regular commenter as well, actually. I think I see him on a lot of other videos.
I did find an EV charging point outside, so I just...
Sorry. Was the test
Are you
not away?
grazing? Are you grazing?
So thank you for the £4.49.
You've just paid for Ian's charge, so that's much appreciated.
There was this EV charging point outside at the front door, so...
Yeah,
We tried to block it off with solar panels, but
he got out his car, moved everything out of the way, and obviously... So, of course, you're borrowing the electricity from here so you can get home as well.
Yes, thank you very much.
Which is really kind of us. So let's circle back to that story. So we all believe, don't we, from the previous live stream, that a massive opportunity in the electrical industry is to be looking at, whether it be domestic or commercial and industrial, obviously the ability to install a number of solar panels, store that energy and use it at your will. Now, it's one of those subjects that maybe the government don't want to talk about. There is a chance, and I know Germany have stored a lot of gas. I know France have stored a lot of gas. We've got some issues with storing gas and the amount we can store. There may be some difficult times during the winter where maybe there isn't quite enough energy. Let's hope it doesn't happen. There's not enough energy, and there may be, at that moment in time, the focusing on whether we have or haven't got enough to maintain the lights on potentially, or maybe the heating on at home. Obviously, with those gas-fired power stations, it'll affect the electricity as well. So, again, you can see how quickly, one dodgy winter of it, people getting a little bit interrupted maybe with their energy sources, that again, that opportunity will be there. And that's one we talked about before. But if we mention the R word, and we don't want to mention that R word, we don't want to mention Routledge, okay, 12 already. But we look at maybe if it becomes a difficult time, and maybe this is a time to take an opportunity, isn't it? So yourself, you moved jobs in about 2008, didn't you, around about that time?
Yeah, and again, that was a time of huge economic upheaval. There was the credit crunch, that was when all that was kicking
10-year
off.
austerity it was.
Yeah, and we'd been working up until that point. The last bit of my career on site was installing fire training simulators at airports. We used to build the control panels and do the installation work. So if you've ever flown into or out of Heathrow, Birmingham, Manchester, Jersey, Aberdeen, and a couple of others up and down the country, they have these big rigs that look like planes, but made out of 10mm thick steel. And the idea is you can push a button on a control panel, it'll burst into flames, and the firemen practice putting it out.
Oh, that's reassuring for anyone that's been to those airports.
Well, it kind of is.
So when you're on your holidays, make sure you look out for the plane they practice that when it's fully alight.
And they are right by the runway as well. There was one...
Scorched tarmac all around it, is that? Yeah, foam everywhere.
The one at Manchester, they couldn't burn it with... There was two types of fuel. They could burn LPG or kerosene. And when they used to burn kerosene, they could only do that at certain times because the smoke that came off it used to drift across the runway. It meant that landing planes were quite tricky then, through a kind of a fug of burnt kerosene. But obviously that was very large capital projects, very, very expensive. And when that recession hit, when that credit crunch hit, that work just dried up. And again, just a bit of a personal thing. I found out on the Monday, I'd not been into work for some reason, found out on Monday that Mrs. R was expecting our first child.
Oh, right.
Beautiful, happy moment. Went into work the next day and they said, Joe, we're going to short weeks, you might want to start looking for a new job. Okay, that's timing, yeah. But that led me...
Gone to where? Yeah. Teaching becomes, and we're going to do a whole section on, obviously, Ian, because there's a nice shiny award down here. But that brings into focus then that actually it does it, because all of a sudden job, you've sort of got a structured holiday system. You don't get as much money, there's no denying that, but obviously there's a pension scheme. And often in a recession, believe it or not, the FE thrives, doesn't it? Because people are looking to retrain, there's less jobs, more people in colleges and all the rest of it. So that becomes an opportunity. But you also left that and you also went and took on some design skills as well in another job, didn't you?
So after a little while in teaching, it was time for another change. So I went back into industry, went doing design work, which again, I love doing the calculations and the drawing side of it, and all that stuff was fantastic. That was one of my favourite things I ever used to do. And did that for a little while as well. So that was another option that perhaps, I don't think that's necessarily always promoted to electrical learners from the beginning, that actually this journey you're starting on, you don't know where it might take you. And when you do that design unit at, level 3 or whatever, really concentrate on that, because the skills you can learn in that will be so valuable, really valuable.
So there again, you've got this electrical skills. What other opportunities are there? There's the obvious ones in front of you about installing equipment, but there are some other opportunities, especially in difficult times. And when I think about that, how many people actually sit at any point in their electrical career and say to themselves, I want to sit on JPEL 64? I'm going to kick you in a treat in a minute. So sit on JPEL64, because JPEL64 tend to write a book, don't they, Paul? What book do they write?
It's the ever popular IET wiring regs, also known as BS7671.
Okay, and if I was wanting to get hold of a copy of Amendment 2, where's the best place to do that?
I would look at going to www.
Remember that, there is a link. As well as a book in there, at some point we're going to give you an opportunity to have a 20% discount with an eFIXX code. So make sure you stay on for when we show that. But yeah, so how many people sit there at college or when they actually go, I could write this book?
Yeah.
Okay, we all think, you know, there's lots of people on Instagram sitting around and think they can write it.
And the thing, so I was used to try and push this with learners when I was teaching, and the thing that they always used to get back was, oh, I don't want to be sat at a desk, I want to be out working. There'll come a point when your knees will not give you an option anymore, and they'll be begging you to get a desk job, and it has its benefits.
Okay.
You know.
So that's difficult times. Now, I'd like to say that Team eFIXX, and I think as well you here, Paul, on this one, we started effectively the full push for eFIXX in, I think we left our jobs in April 2020, didn't we?
Yes, so we went part-time September 2019.
We did.
We've been working on it for a while before then. And then we handed our notices in at the end of 2019,
Yep.
at the end of December. And then, of course, we all remember what happened in March, April 2020, just as me and Gary had 2 weeks' notice left to work at the college.
We went
Yeah,
to lockdown.
You caused it.
absolutely.
Yeah, we were causing lockdown. Someone did say to me once, if you ever leave this college, they'll shut it. And they did for 6 months. That was quite ironic. We were the last two people out. Oh, we got another one.
Again, from big fan of the show, big friend of the show, Sockets. £10 from Richard Brook there, thank you. Sockets bean is ordered for, that's blanked out, so I can't see it.
Yeah.
Live prizes for the next show. PS just fitted 11.2 kilowatt battery system at Sockets HQ. Octopus Go. So this is a lot of information here, Richard.
I'll be over, Richard, for a charge tomorrow.
7p kilowatt hour off-peak charge plus 5 kilowatt PV system. So he's basically just given us the entire specification for his installation.
He's a great friend of the show. We all know Richard from the Sockets, the Safety Shield, and all the other great products he invented. And he's going to send us some beanie hats by all
I
accounts.
have used these in my kitchen. I have used these.
I used to use those when I worked for the council.
And I think that's predominantly where it came from, really, wasn't it? To get people back energised after day one of a rewire, waiting for plasterers and things like that. So yeah, again, sockets in your pockets. Follow him on Instagram if you're not already. Richard Brook, the inventor of everything, I would suggest. But we were in a story that was quite miserable for us, wasn't it? Effectively, 2020 April. We changed careers, and it was a difficult time. But you've got to take that difficult time. We may be moving into the word R. Take that difficult time and actually look to build a business. Okay, is that something you've experienced, Paul?
Yeah, very much so. I'd had 10 years at NIC, EIC, running their book department, having previously been growing up in a family business. Knew the sort of elementary areas of running a business, but had that desire to do something. But you get stuck into an area of a comfort zone, dare I say, where you're working every single day of the week, and you get to Friday. So 2020 came along, just like with you chaps. Furlough was then presented to itself, a long period of reflection, and then made redundant at the end of 2020. And so I dusted myself down, thought, what am I going to do here? Well, I've always had this desire to run my own business. It's now or never. This is the time to do it. And of course, nobody knew what was going to happen in 2021 with COVID and lockdowns, etc. However, I did know that there was going to be a new wiring regs that would be coming out in about a year or so's time. Of the business, printing for anybody that wanted either logbook, certificates, labels, and started to build the business up on that, crumbs off the table, but being able to tailor it to how to that achieve. Really started to get the business up and running, helped with the cash flow, ready for the start of the Amendment 2 coming out in March, and getting around the wholesalers with some good bag of products of our own, not just the Me Too products that everybody's fighting over for the cheapest price on the internet.
Yeah, and that's really interesting because we've got a product down here that's pretty much your product.
Yeah,
okay?
yeah.
And I think it's one that can help every aspect of learning. So whether you enter in at a level 2 or a level 3 on an apprenticeship, or whether you're going back because you're doing your 18th edition wiring regs, or you want to brush up before you do your 2391, this looks like the Swiss Army knife of books down here. And we'll at some point during this live stream tell you how you can get your hands on it, have a look at it, and there's a 20% discount code for the rest of this month as well.
For all of you eFIXX viewers, it's a special eFIXX code.
Yeah, and we'll come back to that. So
Yeah.
stay on for that one. I think this is a book. I've had Ian licking his lips. He's already suggested that he can sort you out as being a book provider for his college.
It's been a fantastic conversation with Ian. Yeah.
Making connections.
I've also got my eye on that.
Yeah, you're more than welcome. So again, it's that. Looking at what we've got faced to us, and some people haven't, necessarily got it in them, and that's not a bad thing. They do like to go to work, like you did at the NIC. They do like to do 5 days, know what time they finish, and know their weekends are on. You took a phone call from your accountant as we sat having an Indian meal, didn't we?
Yeah.
We had a discussion, I think yesterday, didn't we, about different bits and bats and pressure points that businesses find. It's not like working for the NIC, EIC, is it?
No, it's just 7 days a week, and you tailor your day around where the FaceTime goes with speaking to customers that are there, and then you're doing things like your web shop, websites, after hours or on a weekend, producing documentation, the behind the scenes stuff where you've got a whole department that's there within a different organisation. So you become your own finance department. The only people that don't complain is HR in Docs-Store nowadays. But you turn your hand to everything.
Sorry, again, we're going to have to pause. Sorry,
JB.
our apologies. JB Electrical, where's he from?
I'll get this one. Oh, JB. And I've heard that name because I think he appears on the other live stream I do, which is changing dates. It's now going to be on the 28th of November out of Nottingham College. They confirmed tonight that they wanted to come to us. And it's JB, and he's not at a college. He's at a training centre somewhere. Is it Milton Keynes?
I think it's Cambridge.
No, I think it's Oxford, Culham.
I'm gonna read half of his message.
It says JB Electrical Ox.
Yeah, it is Oxford. Yeah. well spotted there. He says, nominate JB for lecturer of your, and I'm not reading the rest of the message because that's just unpleasant. So yeah.
And again, so we'll certainly come to that because we've got the reigning college lecturer of the year, and when he gets his segment, we'll obviously be leaning into that. I'd just like to say for the record that he has been nominated. So already, JB has been nominated.
By JB Electrical Ox.
There seemed to be a flurry of nominations at the same time. Can you imagine when I used to walk into a lesson and say, get your phone out, we're doing something now? It sounded like maybe we were doing something now. So, well done, you got nominated, and that is a strong candidate. We've seen lots of strong candidates as we go up and down the country, which is really good. So, difficult. Yeah, so you've taken that difficult time, and you like us at eFIXX, when I was laying here on the studio floor and all the rest of it, and we were trying to put stuff together, it wasn't easy, was it?
I was just going to circle back round to our story because we obviously, probably people don't remember this, we actually started off primarily as events, didn't we?
What are events?
Well,
Explain what an event is.
We were going up and down the country and doing like mini trade shows, weren't we? And we were sort of doing it was almost like guerrilla marketing, wasn't it? We were going where the big trade shows didn't go,
Yes.
fairly locally.
Love it.
Mostly top story of very tall buildings that we had to lug all the equipment up. But yeah, and then of course we had 2 weeks notice left to work at the college.
We did.
And then we went into lockdown. All our events were cancelled.
Only 20 of them.
And
all of them, yeah.
And there was a point where, the college very kindly said to me that I actually could keep working.
Yeah, you could, couldn't you? I'd just like to say that for the record. Joe got offered to carry on working at the college. They helped me move out.
To be fair, mostly because I was freaking out. To be fair, I don't think you were that worried. But I was panicking a little bit. And they very kindly offered to keep me on, which they didn't have to do, so I did appreciate that. But we had a crisis meeting, didn't we? And figured out what we were going to do, how we were going to pivot. It sounded convincing. And so we went for it. And it was a tough first year. It was hard, but...
And again, if anyone said to us, and this is not to blow our own trumpet by any stretch of imagination, make it look easy, you've got this, you've managed to build so many, go back to when me and you sat there, we walked out the college, last 2 people out the building on the very last day, I think it was about 10 to 6 at night when we walked out on a Friday, everyone else had left at lunchtime, we walked out into absolutely nothing, where everybody else walked home and just stayed at home for 6 months in. We had to get on with it, didn't we?
Yeah, it was tough. But again, it led to something really quite exciting, that is, provided for our families ever since.
And if you take the same enthusiasm to something that you want to do, there is no better time to do it than now. And that links me nicely into Gary's Swap Shop this week. So I've got a couple of bags down here. So if you take that for me, I'll have a look into the bag and see what we've got for Gary's Swap Shop. Let's have a look what I'm giving away this week on Gary's Swap Shop. So in we go.
So we've got from the ever happy Trevor, who's got an EV Blocks. Is that a flask?
It is, and it is a brilliant flask. And I absolutely love Trevor. He's going to be a guest at some point. He's going to do the race wall, little Trevor's.
It's really good because that keeps hot things hot and cold things cold.
But don't put them in at the same time because it doesn't know which one's which.
How does it tell the difference?
I don't know.
It's amazing.
What else have we got in the bag?
We've also got, very importantly, safe isolation mini kit.
Not just for September, folks, and we had over 3,000 people doing that.
Yeah, so that's good. We've got some, we're having everything out of here.
Yes,
some notepads,
yeah, you have some pads.
TIS notepads, we love TIS.
Yeah, Test Instrument Solutions donated 10 voltage indicators, and we'll ask live tonight our postal service how it's doing.
He's back from Krakow. There's a random Talk the Talk sticker in there.
There is, yes.
What else? Colours to the mast. We've got a pen.
Yeah, and what's in
I
the
actually
box?
don't know what this is. Genuinely don't know what this is. Ooh, this is new. This is genuinely exciting for me. I don't know what this is. Look at that's a Weeha mug. I like that.
Ooh, so
I like that.
So a
flags.
flask. Yeah. Well, do you want to do that? Yeah. Do you want to add some? We're going to add some more stuff.
chuck
So
in.
live on TV. We're going to add a couple of sets of these in. So we want to add that one set into the bag. So
tied in with the new wiring regs, we have some chapter flags or index tags, whatever the terminology is that you'd like to call it.
Okay.
Nice multicoloured for you to easy find.
donated here by Docs-Store. Don't forget the
Docs-Store.co.uk.
Okay, so thank you very much. Put one of those in the bag.
Will do.
And I'll sit back down. So thank you very much. So got 2 sets of those. So for Gary's Swap Shop. In order to play along with Gary's Swap Shop, you need a keyword, and the keyword this week is time. Quite poignant to me this week, really, the word being time. So if you look at life, you'll talk about maybe different parts of your life. You haven't got as much money and all the rest of it, but there is one guaranteed thing you will run out of, and it's not money. It's actually time. So eventually, time will cease, and obviously your opportunities have gone. So I would suggest, without being too morbid, that if there's a little itch in you, you maybe want to start your own business, a little itch in you, maybe you want to go back to college and take on some new skills, maybe it's solar battery. There's something in there, you've got to look and reflect on it. The only thing you haven't got left is time in it. So time will run out. So take that opportunity like we did. We had a go like you did, Paul, as well.
I think you can't buy. You can't buy time.
Can't buy time. You can have all the money in the world, can't buy any more time. And that goes for anything, so doesn't it? So your family, so you might say to yourself, hang on a minute, I want to restructure my working week a bit like we did when we had the Manchester electrician down, and I'm no good with names, so he was on a few weeks ago when he took the opportunity to use a Rewired Agency to do all his phone calls and that. I can't remember his name. Yeah, I know I'm not good with names. You know that. So if you can remember it, and I'm sure JB will put it in for me in the comments as well. But look at that. So he restructured how he worked. He spent a few pounds to give himself back time, didn't he? He gave him time with his family.
Turns out you can buy time.
Yeah, you can buy time at home, but you can't gain any more time. So if you've got 6 hours with your kids while they're awake, if you don't take the opportunity to have 6 hours with them, you don't get that time with them. So again, that just links in. So today's keyword, if you want to play along with Gary's Swap Shop, is time. The 2 people that we pull out at the end, as long as you send me something in connected to time, I'll take a broken wristwatch, I'll take an old time clock, I'll say something connected to time.
A watch battery.
Yeah, watch for anything, just connect it. Just always say with batteries, just be careful. You have to identify it to the Royal Mail. There's a battery in the envelope. And if you send that off to us, if you win, we'll tell you the address at the end of it. I'll send you out this bag of bits as a way of thanking you for that. So that's Gary's Swap Shop this week. Keyword there is time if you want to play along. So you've had a chance, Joe, to mull it over. So we're going to thank the sponsors of the show. So we're going to do that next. So I'm going to look over here. You're going to be under I'd like to thank, first of all, the Lasico group. I'd like to thank those. Now, we often just put Lasico up, but it's not just Lasico, it's the group. And there's lots of brands under that group, as well as our good friends at My Energy that sponsor the electrical news, don't they, that you do?
They do.
Yeah, My Energy are on there, and they sponsor the electrical news. You're currently in the process, aren't you? You're currently in the process of doing a video for Marshall Toughlex, aren't you? You're doing a little video for
a lot of videos, actually. I've got about 3 on the go.
And I think is there a CPD in there as well?
There is, yeah.
Yeah, got a lot of stuff for Marshall Toughlex as well. He's put it back up. We'd like to thank the great people at Ludum Palazzoli, who sponsor the consumer unit that obviously we use on the race wall.
Yep.
We'd like to thank, our good friends Doncaster Cables. We'd like to thank them. And we love Aaron. Remember, we had that hashtag above Aaron for ages. And there's one more, and I didn't look at the screen, that I can't remember.
What I don't understand, right? You are the worst person in the world at names.
Yes.
Right? Like literally the worst person. In
Absolutely
fact, Gary
terrible.
doesn't remember working with me for like the first 6 years of our time.
It's a good story
together.
as well. I
Literally doesn't
don't remember.
We'll circle back round to that in the plug and socket. And yet this, every week you get it. I just don't understand. It must be motivation. We'd also like to thank the good people at Vargo as well. And we love Vargo very much. We think they're just great products, aren't they?
Absolutely, yeah, and we've got a short video coming out on them tomorrow, so I think that's out first thing in the morning. So if you're liking our vertical short format content, we've been trying to put them out earlier on in the day, because tomorrow, the video that will be out tomorrow afternoon links to later on in the show where we do our sneak peek.
Yes.
Yes, so we'll have a little look at that later on. So, yeah, I think we're in a really good position. I think it's time to turn it over to our team registrars. Okay, so let's go over to our registrars.
Good evening, everyone. It's time for the register over here in Technical Corner. Luckily, we've got the sound issues sorted, so hopefully we shouldn't have any more issues. Let's get straight to it. So we've got returning members and new members. We'll go with returning members first. No particular order. We've got Dan Sparky in training. Oh, there's my overlay. Aaron, Billy Torrey, 9+ Installaciones. Sean the Spark, Artisan Electrics. Sean Dempsey, serial winner. Skillen, Crumpers, Dave Noble, that tool guy, your post going out tomorrow, hopefully. PDKH, Jamie Blayton, the Information Torpedo, Chris B, Ren Skylark, Richard Cockerline, Carl Robson, Sockets, Gadgetman, DAE, East Power Engineering, Gavin Geeney, JB Electrical, Kevin Osborne, Andy T, there's a lot. Jonathan Rose, Chris Oswin the Sparky, Ben Everson, Terry Moore, Ryan Fuller, and P. Taylor. And now I'll hand over to Vic for the new members.
So, by the looks of things, we've got a couple of new members. 12 Arif, sitting at the top there.
Hi, Gordon.
Yeah. We've got Short Circuit, Dion. Hang on a minute. James, Ants Keeping, Rushton, Abdul, Seaforth, 3/4 Electrical, Darren Phillips, Chris Locker, and Daniel Edwards. And that is it for now.
I didn't just find one of these. I didn't find 2 of these. I found 10 of these by the side of 100 safe isolation locking off kits, which I think me and Gordon gave away, about 2 weeks ago during the year.
Yeah, I think they're gathering dust over there, but they are going out.
Oh, are they? And what's our policy? Do we get it done same day, next day?
No, I think it's about 28.
28 days, so we're only 14 days in. So anyone who keeps contacting me on social media asking me whether they've won one, we've announced the winners already. And I apologise for Big Ash. If I ever meet him, I think he'll say to me, my voltage indicator, he didn't win one this time round. But we've still got 10 of these here and 100 safe isolation kits, but they are going to come out soon, aren't they?
Shortly, yeah.
We're only 14 days into 28, so all good.
Plenty of time.
Nice. You're welcome.
You're welcome, yeah. That's one of Rick's brilliant phrases. Okay,
You're welcome.
Brilliant. Yeah, you're welcome.
You're welcome.
Before anyone else jumps in the comments as well, it should be YOU''RE. Just saying. Sorry. But people are going to comment. People are going to comment. I'm
Mugged
being
you
nice.
off as well. He's done a spelling mistake.
Bring up your overlay again.
Oh, no, you're right.
Sorry, it's the teacher in me. I can't let it go.
Sorry, I'd have never got
Sorry,
it.
Rick.
As a teacher, allegedly.
I figured I'd do it more kindly than the commenters.
So he's too. I was going to say he's actually too modest for his own good, but after that moment, I would suggest probably he isn't, is he? So Joe's been working busily, and hopefully we all appreciate it, even if maybe we only dipped in and did the Safe for September, which is for the whole year. Safe isolation one. I know a lot of colleges up and down the country have been participating in that, and I've been seeing them and their certificates when they've completed those tasks. But actually, Joe's in quite a good position with his CPDs. We're accredited by CPD UK, but you've also got the QMS attached to that, which means, it's too polite to say this, you don't actually have to have somebody else tell you your CPD is a good CPD, do you, Joe?
No, it is kind of a big deal actually, and I think there's only about 3 organisations in the UK that have this accreditation, so it is quite a big deal. And basically, what it means is that normally when you produce a CPD package, you send it off to CPD UK, and they then review it. They check over various things for quality to make sure it's acceptable, and then you're good to go. You can release it. We've got QMS status with them, which basically means that we don't have to go through that process. That means that they trust our content. We still get audited, so a couple of times a year I have to go through and absolutely ghastly process of trying to find lots and lots of pieces of data and information to send on to them and to prove that we're doing our quality assurance process correctly. But what it means is that it blanked me out. That's appropriate.
I couldn't work my hands out either on the screen.
But what it means is that basically, yeah, we can produce our own CPD content, and it doesn't have to be approved or reviewed by CPD UK. Basically, they know we're doing a good job.
They trust us. They trust Joe, really. I know we all read the script, but the content is Joe's. You've got one or two more people maybe helping in that process now, but so it's a big hats off to Joe. It's something he probably he wouldn't shout about, but we're really proud at eFIXX.
I've actually done that. I've done that safe isolation CPD course, as well as attending a lot of other webinars, and I must say that particular one, you do feel as though you've achieved something with the multiple choice questions at the end of it.
Yeah.
And then the certificate that comes through, rather than it just being a certificate of attendance for sitting through a webinar, you know, you feel as though it's actually the questions are testing you. You're not just sat there for an hour or 2 hours just to tick a box.
That does remind me of something else that tends to happen a little bit as well, is that a lot of it is automated. So when you take those questions, if you get enough right, you pass, and it sends out an automated certificate. If you don't quite manage it, it also sends an automated email basically saying, have another go at this, you know, try hard, you know, must try harder, sort of thing, with an encouraging undertone. But it comes from my email address. Even though I don't personally send the email, it comes from my email address. Yeah. So I often get replies from people who haven't quite achieved it the first time, sort of saying, explaining their reasons why, like giving me excuses. You know, it's like, oh, I'm not getting my homework. It's like, oh, I didn't have a chance to watch the video. I just went straight to the question. Oh, I'm really tired today, and it's like, I'm not reviewing each one and judging it. It's like you don't have to justify yourself.
Within 5 seconds.
Just a hint, I'll stop emailing you back.
Yeah, if you would, Ian, it's getting annoying. No, but yeah, it's just one of those funny little quirks that the system throws up.
And we've got some great ones coming up. I don't think we can necessarily give too much detail about what we've got in now. I know you want to, but we're working with Schneider.
Yep.
We're working with My Energy.
Yes.
Anyone else you want to sneak out into them?
Marshall Tuffleck's coming up. Zaptec's coming up. That's a really exciting one. Excited about that. Yes, and there's others in there as well. There's so many. Robus, we're doing one for Robus as well. Luceco Group, obviously we're doing stuff with them all the time.
Yeah.
So yeah, lots more content on the way. And again, can't give too much away. I really want to, but there's going to be a slightly changed format to it, which I'm really excited about. I think that's going to be really cool.
Yeah, the new format's really cool.
Yeah. When it drops, hopefully you'll see it and you'll understand.
Yeah, and we've done that to make it even more of an experience for you to do those. It isn't going to be more onerous. It's just going to give you a completely different experience on how to absorb your CPDs.
I think it might actually not make it easier, but make it a better learning experience, which is what we're in.
You've got more flexibility as well, haven't you, which you can't believe, can you?
Yeah, no, it's great. It's going to make me look better.
Again, that probably links back to what we said about making the most. So again, as maybe you're employed, maybe you're looking at your job and thinking to yourself, I could potentially be in a difficult situation if the economy continues a downturn. I'm trying to add extra skills to yourself, but maybe it is difficult for you to get onto a course that may take time up in the evenings, or you've got to do something at the weekends or in the day. You might say to yourself, hang on a minute, look how many opportunities eFIXX have given me to add to my CV, and if that CV becomes the next thing I need to use in order to get another job, well, there's at least 30 opportunities to add certificates to a CV that may have been idle for 10, 15 years because you've been just doing a great job. Maybe that job has changed for you. It gives you opportunities, doesn't it?
It's all completely free.
Are we still doing them for free?
Yeah.
Is not the new system not free?
No, still
you
free
need
content.
To perhaps have a look at this because we're giving this stuff away for free. Okay, you thought about that 3,000 people. Imagine we charge them all £10 each.
I'm digging my heels in.
I
like free education.
We give 15,000 certificates away.
Have we?
Yeah, I thought it was 15.
I must admit, I don't know what the
Steve tried to tell me
is.
today it was 15,000 certificates.
It's probably, Joe 2.0 is nodding.
15,000 certificates were given away.
Well, I didn't realise that.
We haven't given them away, actually. I think people have earned them. I think I've given that a bit, haven't I? We just give 15,000.
Just dishing them out.
Like you with your flags. There you go, that's some flags.
There you go, yeah.
Yes, have one of these.
Joe's email address.
So,
You get a certificate, then. You get a certificate. Yeah.
For putting effort in. So again, that's a wonderful position in which to be in, is what we're at. So we're gonna concentrate on you now, Ian. Okay, so Ian Clark, we've known Ian for many a year. He was one of the very first people to interact with eFIXX in the early days, wasn't he?
I think there was a bit of interaction pre-eFIXX as well.
Yeah, there was. Yeah, when we were back in the old days when we had different colour t-shirts on. But let's concentrate on the red brand. So we obviously had this interaction with you. You adopted online learning effectively, didn't you?
Yeah.
Early days, which was great. We came along to see you and we interacted with your learners, and then you kindly helped us out with some questions on the 18th edition, which we put onto the eFIXX Apprentice 7. We're going to come back to you at some point, but we'll work out why Ian's probably. Yeah, I do actually. But you've had a little bit of a period where we'll come back to that in a few minutes, but a period that was quite challenging for you. But let's start back. So, 16-year-old Ian Clark.
16-year-old Ian Clark. Really, I lived the dream. Applied to British Steel as an apprentice. Got accepted on the British Steel apprenticeship at 16. Started there, did 4 years back then. A proper indentured apprenticeship. Qualified on British Steel, became a plant, I think the official term was process control technician the following year.
All right, okay.
Got a little bit bored of electric. Let's go. Doing it down. So I tried one or two other things. Running pubs, running bars.
Sorry, hang on. So, whoa. This seems like a news story to me. So you spent 10 years, so apprenticeship, and then a total of about 10 years with British Steel. Now, I'd imagine if I was your mum and dad, and you were working at British Steel, much like my mum and dad when I used to work for Eastman's Electricity, which is now Western Power, they used the word job for life and things like that.
So it's funny, because if I'd have brought my mother tonight, she would now take over at this point. I told him he should have a proper job. Right. When I decided to leave British Steel, I think she's only just forgiven me recently.
Right.
That's
You should have a proper job.
quite a few years ago, was it?
So if you're watching tonight, Mum,
Yeah.
I've got a proper job now.
That's the first ever.
Never had a hello mum before, have we? Yeah, we should have got him a sign. Hello mum.
Proud of me, mum.
Just to make sure I got a viewer, I sent the link to my mum before I came to
Brilliant. And if she can work YouTube as well, even better. So we hang on a second. We're 10 years, and you mentioned a pub.
So 10 years.
You're not a football player. You're not retiring after 10 years in the game. Open a pub.
No, I just got itchy feet. All my time through my apprenticeship, what have you, I had a little bit of a side job as a mobile DJ, so I was working in pubs and clubs.
Right.
That evolved into actually doing my own pub act. Hence the
Elvis thing.
The Elvis outfit.
The Elvis. We had all links together. We never knew all this.
So once upon
Did you sing?
Yes, yeah. I had a comedy vocal show. So one of the characters I did as part of the
Our
comedy vocal
first
show
ever live improv.
was
Get a mic.
Elvis. So working in a lot of pubs, seeing the way that these pubs were being run, I'll pass on that.
Wait for the plug and socket. Wait for the plug and socket. Live vocals.
Treat me like a fool.
Oh, thank you very much.
So working in pubs and clubs, I saw a lot of badly run pubs. I thought, I can do better than that.
Right.
So my local came up available, and I applied to be the tenant, and so I moved from electrical into running pubs. Friend of mine, very, very, very good friend of mine, in fact, a world famous Elvis impersonator, Raving Rupert, who's now the Guinness Book of Records longest serving Elvis impersonator.
Oh, wow.
He moved to Gran Canaria, and he rang me up one day. He says,
No.
come out and work out here with us. There's a bar. So
You didn't.
we up sticks, got on an airplane, moved to Gran Canaria, ran a cocktail bar, and then sort of evolved.
No. You're not telling me. You're not telling me Tom Cruise played you in the adaptation of your life story, did you?
Absolutely. That was my life story.
Based on you.
It was just copying.
Wow, I'll see that in a whole different light now.
Was Raving Rupert in character when he rang you up to? Ian, you got to come out here, buddy.
So, sold your pub. You left. You were landlord. So what? You left the pub.
Tenant left the pub.
Yeah, left the pub. And went out to Gran Canaria.
Up sticks. I said to Sarah, my wife, who at that time was my girlfriend, I said, right, I'm off to Gran Canaria. Are you coming or not? And she said, all right then. So I said, just as well, because I've got your ticket. And she came with me.
Girlfriend came with you.
Yes.
That's probably your first mistake, but okay, carry on. You got a pub in the Gran Canaria and took your girlfriend with you. I would have suggested you probably had a lot of options when you got out there.
So we ran a cocktail bar out there. We ended up doing karaoke nights and things like that. Worked in karaoke. So I was the happy holiday house karaoke nights and silly games and that kind of stuff.
Brilliant.
And Sarah fell pregnant, my wife.
Oh.
We'd heard one or two horror stories from people that we knew out there.
Had kids, yeah. I could tell you hundreds of horror stories about having kids. So you decided not to?
So it was a bit too late then to change our minds. So Sarah decided that she wanted to give birth in a hospital where she could understand not every third word, because we got pidgin Spanish off to, you know, we could order drinks and food, but not technical
Not a
turkey.
baby.
Not
I'm in agony.
So she came home. We decided it wasn't the right thing to take a new baby back to Gran Canaria, so I moved back. So it's then a case of what do you do? So didn't really want to go back in the pub trade at that point, so I went back into electrical.
Right.
And we set up and run quite successfully for a good 10 years or so, our own electrical business. So
Did you employ, or was it just the two of you?
yes, no, we had staff as well.
Right.
So we had a couple of apprentices came through. Diversified a bit in, 2005, 2006, I got itchy feet again.
Right, okay.
So I went to Grimsby College and learnt air conditioning and refrigeration.
Right.
So adding that to our portfolio, and then it happened again. My local came available for lease. The village local came available. So we had another stint in the pub trade. By which time the kids we'd had a daughter as well by then, just another one came along. So we had some time in the pub trade, but the pub trade being what it is, it's that R word.
Yeah. Unstable.
We woke up one morning and the recession was definitely kicking in.
Oh, was that the 2008 one that's,
and
through? Yeah.
a lot of my client, or my base trade was in the building trade. And they would come every night at 4 o'clock. And then all of a sudden they would come on a Friday night at 4 o'clock. So we decided that enough was enough of that. We'd had a good run at it. What do you do? So it's back to good old, what my mum said, you need a proper job.
And that led you to where?
So I went, at that time, I had to go back to college, and I think it was my 17th edition I had to do then to get back up to date. Set up doing electrical, got sort of pushed into working for the local authority. We were subcontracting for them.
Okay, yeah.
And then a full-time post came up with them as their repairs electrician, driving around in a van.
Okay, so both for the council, effectively.
Yeah, working for the council, going around social housing, fixing council houses. I actually got headhunted from that job to a better position with a company looking after Sheffield City Council.
Okay.
Where I got involved in some big projects as well, things like Sheffield Children's Hospital, some new wing there, and a lot of work for Sheffield for children. The thing is that progressed me sort of off the tools into the office, I was electrical manager, and then all of a sudden I was contracts manager, and I decided that management wasn't really for me.
Well, you seem to, at lots of points in your life, decide that it's not for you. Yeah, it must be a great joy, Liv. You open the door, you walk in, and the missus must sit there and think, are we still employed?
What's his job today?
What pub's up for sale this week?
Now, the thing is, though, that through all of this, I'd said right back at primary school that I always wanted to be, when they said, what do you want to be when you grow up?
Okay.
I wanted to be an electrician.
Yeah.
And then I met this wonderful teacher at primary school, Mrs. Taylor, and I wanted to be a teacher.
Wow.
So while I was still working as contracts manager for this building firm, I went back to night school, did my bits and pieces, assessor qualification, relevant bits. We sat one morning in an argument in the office with my boss, and I came out and I went on the internet and had a look, and North Lindsey College was advertising for a trainer assessor. I met all of the criteria, had all of the qualifications, I'd just completed my assessor award and everything. So I rang up this he was called Bob.
That's a joke from earlier on.
Back to the Indian.
It was Bob.
Full circle.
You had to be hit there too.
Yeah.
A couple of weeks later, I was again in another rather heavy-going meeting in the morning. Why hasn't this happened? Why hasn't that happened? Well, if you didn't promise too much, we wouldn't be letting people down. I came out of the meeting and my phone rang. Hello, Ian, it's Bob. What will it take to persuade you to come and work for me? And at that point, I said, well, do you need a reference from my employer? I said, oh, why? Because if not, they'd get one.
Oh, wow.
So I decided to come out of management and go into education, working for North Lindsey College, but we've got a training centre on the British Steel site, training British Steel apprentices.
So that gives you the perfect loop back round to keeping mum happy.
Yep.
You're back effectively working indirectly for
the first thing
a
I
job
did,
you should never have left.
once I got my contract through from North Lindsay, I went round to my mum and said, I've got a proper job.
Yeah, and I think fundamentally everybody wants to please somebody, don't they? Whether it be, obviously not your wife in your house because of the amount of jobs you've had, but obviously mum
I
gets pleased.
achieved that ambition from being 5 or 6 years old. I wanted to be an electrician, I managed that. I wanted to be a teacher, now I teach electricians.
Okay, just thinking back to my one, play for Liverpool and be a multi-millionaire. Still 2-0 for me.
My
You're
childhood
close.
ambition, yeah,
You're
so
close.
I'm getting there.
Yeah.
I'm kind of on the, poor man's telly.
As everybody turns off. Eh? They're all on Netflix now, aren't they? Let's watch some real telly. So, wow. Hopefully, you tell that story to your learners. I don't know that directly because I haven't obviously had a chance to, because that is an incredibly colourful half an hour of your life. Actually, that can, as you sit there and you think, don't you, as you've gone through compulsory education, you look at the person in the front of the room and you go, teacher, and then there's this frame of reference for a teacher. And I do this when I go to colleges up and down the country, and I won't do it now, but I say to them, this isn't now, we're actually going into an institution which is an electrician that's become a teacher, and to stop thinking them as the teacher at school, because obviously there's that traditional, sort of thought process to it. But God, what a colourful story to get you into teaching. And, your caring element of you, which is pretty obvious throughout everything you've done and everything we know about you, sort of continues on, because obviously you spent 5-6 years teaching out at North Lindsay College. You're giving back, and you mentioned giving back in your thing. You always wanted to do it from a young age, and that led you, didn't it, to when I rang you up and said to you, look, Ian, I really would like to get some younger people. So we have the eFIXX 30 Under 30 awards, which the link is in the description for all the awards categories. And if you haven't gone and nominated for yourself or somebody else for any of our awards, there's still plenty of time to do so, and I recommend you do. And I rang you up and said, look, I will not do Apprentice of the Year. eFIXX team, we decided that a lot of people do Apprentice of the Year, and we believe there is an amazing college and an amazing lecturer that teaches loads of people that become amazing apprentices. And we'll talk about an amazing apprentice when we come back to your story later on. And we've got that sort of link in. I said to you, is there any chance you could handpick some of the really good people that you've taught currently or post who've maybe gone into working for British Steel and nominate them for 30 Under 30? And you said, yeah, you didn't you? Straight away, you said, yeah. And I was hoping for a couple of people for you to nominate, to cherry pick people. So how many people do you think you nominated for me, Ian?
I think by the time I'd finished, it was about 30 people. I think I'd filled the whole 30 spots for you.
Did you misunderstand the meaning of the 30?
Yeah, you said
30 nominations.
I think I nominated one who was 35 as well. So sorry, Dan.
Yeah. I said in an email, I've sent a global email out to lots of colleges I've been at. Again, the link is in the description for all the stuff that we do. 30 Under 30 is not just for colleges. And I sent it out to them. I said it will take, I think the words that I used, Junior, was this the words I used? It takes about 5 minutes and you could change the life of somebody for maybe the next 5 years. Were they my words, Junior? Remarkably like your words, I would suggest, weren't they? So Joe typed it out for me. We've got it on the screen now. You can do it on your phone. There's a link in the description. You want to do it on a laptop. It's simple. Okay, you go on to the link in the description, eFIXX Awards, if you want to Google it. And obviously, there's a couple of categories you can go into, and the 30 Under 30 is in there. And you've decided to blanketly nominate people because you thought they were equally...
They were cherry picked from the learners I've had over the last 5 years.
So there's 30 people.
There was 30 worthy candidates, in my opinion, for the award.
And I met a couple of them when we had our eFIXX Awards Day. And the young lady, Simone, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I met Simone and I said to her, how was it, Ian? And she spoke really nicely about you, Ian, so we won't talk about that. So, she was really good. And she said you walked into the classroom and one of the lads in there sort of chirped up that obviously Simone had got nominated and suggested why maybe he wasn't nominated. And I think you said to him that you did nominate him.
I did nominate him, and if he'd have answered his emails, he might have won.
Yeah.
So what we're saying in it, there's some value in reading your emails.
There's some value in reading your emails, and it's not just a nomination process. The learners do have to put some input into it as well.
Yeah. And she enjoyed that moment because she got her moment to say, because that lad went from being a bit chipper that he hadn't got nominated, for you to have your moment and said, no, I thought you were great as well, and I did nominate you, but unfortunately you didn't check your emails and you didn't respond back. So again, you had that great moment. You gave back. You nominated 30 outstanding learners from probably hundreds that you'd taught in a period that meant they were under 30, which was great. You put the effort in, and then you sat back and you could only hope that some of these people could get through. And
Yeah, well, it was then the nomination's done. That's my input to it gone.
And that's the great moment. They get an email, if they answer their email, they get known that they've been nominated for an award, whether they know it's from you, I'm sure they could work it out. They get that great, and it doesn't mean they're going to win one, it just means you've been nominated for one, but you've had your moment. But little did you know that maybe you'd get your moment.
Yeah, well, I was very surprised about when you rang me and told me about that. I'd never even considered myself for that.
Yeah, you got nominated in for, because you didn't know, so you'd done nice things for your students, you got nominated for the eFIXX College Lecturer of the Year, along with, it was a hefty number of people that was triaged down, and obviously, you got to the final. You didn't even know on the evening, did you, that you were in? I think you got contacted to say you were in the final 3, didn't you?
Yes, I got a phone call, was it a few days before, to say I'd made it as a finalist, and I was still gobsmacked to make it as a finalist. So.
Yeah.
And you knew you hadn't won because they said in there...
They said in there that this person has been successful in getting 2 of his learners eFIXX 30 under 30 awards.
And why was that so off-putting for you?
Because I got 3.
So we'd made a small error on our speech, didn't we, Joe?
Did we?
Yeah, but we said 2, and on reflection, you got 3. So of course, Ian sat there at home going, "Oh, I know I haven't won."
Oh, well, I can only apologise, and I wrote that speech, so I am sorry.
That made it even more special when you announced mine, because it was the awards ceremony, because I was nominated, I'd fetched my mum round, and she was sat on the sofa next to me watching it on the big telly at home.
Mum's there again.
Yeah.
Double mum tonight, double mum. First ever double mum.
That's one of those nice moments, isn't it? Because there's quite a lot of work goes on for those awards behind the scenes, and there's a couple of things that made it worthwhile for me. One of them was seeing Neo Electrical, his reaction on Instagram for winning the Smart Home Award.
Red wine man.
I mean, that was. I mean, he was screaming with joy, wasn't he? I've never seen anything like. It was it's like his team had just won, the Champions League or something. It was incredible. And knowing you and your mum were watching that on the big telly, that's a special moment. Actually, that's nice. Yeah.
So I think there's
we got the whole family sat on the sofa watching it. I made them all come down and watch it.
Imagine if you got 3rd. Would have made a very good story, wouldn't it? Yeah.
It would have been Ian, but he only got 2 of his learners. So if it had been 3, he'd have had it.
So at the point when you said it got, the wife went out for a fag. Well,
it mustn't be Ian. Yeah.
All right. So let's unpack that, because I think there's an actual sense of nominations was a great sense. They got nominated by you. They've got the people that didn't bother with the email, so that's their fine. You got 2 or 3 that won awards. So you've got that. So even if you hadn't come up trumps yourself,
I'd already won.
You'd already won, which is actually great. So just think to yourself when you're thinking about maybe trying to find one of those outstanding people in the electrical industries that are age 30 and under, and you can nominate as many people as you want. You can even nominate yourself. There will be some additional stuff if you do nominate yourself to accredit your nomination, so you can't tell us how great you are and it doesn't back up on your story. I'm sure it would. So, of course, there's that. You can nominate your business. You can nominate your wholesaler. You can nominate your college. You can nominate your lecturer. There are loads of categories, and we've added some extra ones this year, like private training provider.
Private training provider, yeah, there's been another couple as well. The big one for me is building services, the best building services designer.
Yeah.
Because that's obviously something quite close to my heart. That's something I lobbied to get in there. So, yeah, I'm hoping to see some entrance for that.
How is the easiest way to win an award?
Well, the easiest way to win an award is to enter.
Yes.
The only way to guarantee you won't win is to not enter.
Yeah. So again, you can, and again, it's more about nominating your own business. That's something people did do because they think, hang on a minute, I hit the criteria for Smart Installer of the Year, and they're going to install and obviously nominate themselves, and then obviously the process is a fractionally different when you nominate yourself, but it's no more onerous on you. But yeah, so let's make sure you either nominate someone or you get nominated, or you get on your own high horse and nominate yourself in order to get them. That seems like a really good process, and one that you were involved in, weren't you? You were involved in that process.
I was, yeah, and just to back up what Joe was saying, there's an extraordinary amount of work that does go in behind the scenes. It's everybody that's on that judging panel has got to put in a good shift and do the research. It's not just I like the name of that company. You've got to do your research. why they've been nominated, and come up with your own judgments, and then we sit as a panel and they'll actually debate it, some of them quite robustly.
Yeah.
You know,
You're doing it again as well, aren't you?
I actually looked after that bit, the business category awards, and yeah, I mean, zero disrespect to any of the judges because they were all brilliant and passionate, but yeah, herding cats is that it was trying to kind of make sure everyone got heard, and you know, sort of everyone's opinion came over, and then to try and crystallise it down to that final decision. Yeah, that was a pretty intense period, wasn't it?
It really was. You know, there's just, I mean, some of the categories were a little bit easier to judge than others when you were running through them there, but there was some, I think, especially some of the EV categories that were out there, they went on for a long time.
And I think
solar installer of the year, the hokey cokey, was in, he was out, he was in, he was out.
And some of us were disappointed. There's still one chap who's, I can't remember his name now, and that's terrible, but for the EV charger installer category. And I just loved it. I thought he was brilliant, mostly because his Instagram account was fantastic, and it was like so witty and just really well done. And I really wanted him to win, and he didn't. You know? And it was like, and I came out of it going, I really wanted that one though.
I think that's a good tip. You bring that up, Joe, about just how the judges have to look at every aspect of that business when they're judging. You know, the Instagram, the website, the work that they do, any reviews that can have on there. Absolutely every bit of that business is looked at to form that decision. It's not just as how nice does the website look and form that opinion.
Yeah. And what's been great is we've been out to visit quite a few of the winners, and we've made videos. Some have been released, some of them are still to be released. And every single one of them that I've met have just been excellent, and I've kind of been able to go, we got that right. You know, we absolutely nailed that decision. You know, and you know, down to the one where I didn't get my way with the EV charging, but the people who did win were brilliant. Jolt EV, I think.
Joltify,
Joltify. They're now called Joltify. That's right. That's changed the name. But they were great, and I mean, I had just the best day filming with them and learned a ton of stuff. It was really good. So it's good.
So life's going absolutely flying for you, Ian. So you've got 3 learners in college. You're walking around. Everyone you meet's got a trophy. Yep. So everyone you meet's got a trophy. You're the brilliant teacher. You've been accolade of being teacher, lecturer of the year. You know, the inaugural winner of the eFIXX award. Mum's as pleased as punch. Nothing could go wrong from you from this point forward. What happened next to you?
The 10th of May.
10th of May. What happened on the 10th of May?
Unfortunately, on the 10th of May, I woke up and I couldn't get out of bed.
I feel like that on the 10th, the 11th of May, the 12th of May.
Really couldn't get out of bed. Right. Couldn't see straight, couldn't walk straight. Lost complete use of the left-hand side of my body. Major panic. Ambulance, rushed to hospital, suspected stroke. I was in hospital for a few days, and the doctor come and pulled the curtains round. She said, well, you haven't had a stroke. At that point, I stopped listening.
I can go home then.
What she went on to say was, no, you've got a brain tumour.
Oh gosh. Well.
Yeah. So, obviously, quite crushing for
do you want the good news or the bad news?
Yeah.
I honestly stopped listening at the point where she said, you haven't had a stroke. I thought, no, good. Yeah. When can I go home?
Wow. So obviously, life got a little bit difficult and a little bit tough for you. So I think we were in correspondence then, because I had a really inclination, didn't I, to come and do my first live stream.
Yeah, I think the following week I'd agreed to come across and do the Apprentice Live thing with you.
Now we're doing it here today, but obviously things got better, but they got worse first, didn't they?
Worse but better. Yeah. It was diagnosed as not cancer, which was the first major milestone for us. It's 24 millimetres tumour pressing on the back of my brain, causing this problem. So I was given various options, surgery, or this, what they call gamma knife surgery. They basically stuck my head in a microwave for 2 hours.
Right.
So Sheffield Hospital, absolutely fantastic. Went in, they fitted this frame to hold my head still, scanned it all, put my head in the microwave, laid there for 2 hours, came out of that. Didn't feel anything straight away, but it's been a slow process since, and obviously I'm allowed to drive again now, feeling a lot better. I've got to go back later on this month for another MRI scan, but fingers crossed it's all going in the right direction.
Oh, good, well done. Yeah.
I'm seeing you over we're having a couple of months gap between each time we meet and that, and I've seen a massive improvement in you. Just the fact you were driving, you were moving around like the normally in that I know.
When you came round and picked me up that day when we went over to Hull, I was just on the out of this surgery.
Yeah, and that was when the sponsor of the award,
Lou
Palazzoli, wanted to present the award to you. They gave you some bits and bats as well.
Absolutely.
I bet you took him to college with you, didn't you?
Of course I did.
Yeah, so you took him into college. I'm just worried that this hand cam's a bit full. Let's see if we can get the picture in. Let's have a look at the award. Do you want to hold it in for me? And I've got my fingerprint on it.
We should point out.
Hang on a second. Hang on a second.
Look at that.
Just come back to main cam. I'd just like to thank everybody who nominated me for this award. I know it's a few years late in coming. Spent 19 years in FE and it's finally the recognition.
Badly wanted the Lecturer of the Year award. We should point out as well, not all of the awards come with this lovely base.
No, yes, we'll do that as well. So let's have a look at your award then. So
there we go. Look, it's got my name on it, so it must be mine.
Yeah, apparently. Yeah, and well deserved as well, Ian. So, joking. So your father-in-law made the little wooden base for you?
Yes. Yep.
So yeah, that would be nice for the other people that have got one. But yeah, you've got a nice little and. Again, I think everybody who's just listened to your story, I think, would agree that it's a worthy winner, an inaugural winner of that award.
Inspirational.
Yeah, and does that mean you're going to come on and help us with our nominations next time round?
I'll help you with the nominations. I'm not sure about judging them.
Yeah, no.
You are judging. So you're on the judging panel?
No, I've already identified several learners that I'm going to nominate this year.
And you're going to be a judge?
Yes.
And you'll have the issue that I had with someone, I think you probably did as well, you have to recuse yourself when that person comes up. So I think a good example for us would be Sam from Oval Electrical, because we've shot a video with him. I had to recuse myself from his process, and as well as residual current, he was in my phone book, so I couldn't have somebody in my phone that had to recuse. So when your learners come up, you'll be all excited about going, I'm going to pick these ones. And you're going to have to say, I'm very sorry, I've got a personal relationship with these, I'm going to have to pull out the process, and that's hard to sit back and watch somebody else do it.
You're also running the risk that you might end up in a Meet the Judges video at some point.
Meet the Judges video. Now, they're worth looking after. Now, before we do that, I think you need to ask for something, don't you? Because you need the viewers to get involved again.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So we're coming up on the race wall, the challenge wall. So we need to start getting your predictions for the Gordon time. Okay, so we're at that point in the show. So we're going to be going and watching that in a few minutes. And so start putting your times in for who you think, how quick you think Jamie.
Yep.
From RF Solutions.
Right, so let's circle into Jamie then. So Jamie's fully qualified electrician, is that right?
No, he is a marketing chap, and he was a great sport, wasn't he?
It was a great sport.
Of the day.
Yeah, it was a great sport, but hang on, let's add some texture to it. So he is in marketing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dad's a spark.
There you go.
So we're going to see if it's in the blood.
Yes. So we're not going to go over just yet to him, but just get your times in. So we're talking about a younger person, works in marketing, works for RF Solutions. Remember, RF Solutions love to have communications without wires, which is possible through radio frequency.
So the wires...
There is wires at each end normally, or one end's battery, but there is always, I always say to you, there's wires involved because we've got to still power this thing, but sometimes that communication's been done with a wireless communication, which means maybe your end has a battery in it. So he's young, marketing manager, and his dad's an electrician, to give you texture for him. We want to know what his time is. If you're the closest time to him at the end of the show, remember it's not until then, we'll be able to show you what you're going to win, and then Joe's going to show me what is in his hand over here.
So again, we're being supported in this by our good friends at Doncaster Cables, who've provided us with this cable stripper for working with their EV Ultra cable. So there's 2 of those up for grabs for the 2 times that are... Oh no, so have we got 2
we have,
GTs tonight?
Yeah, that's right.
So 1 for each.
If you were only here at the rehearsal, okay, so we still had 2 then as well, didn't we? Yeah, okay. I'll give up sometimes.
Okay, we're doing that.
I've got a whole board up
doing that, are we?
I can't look at that one because the times are on that board. Yeah. Got a whole board. And I tried to even give them the information before we started, and it was they were all having a little chitter-chatter and all this. But yep. Sure. So get your times in for that. So remember, young person, dad's an electrician. How well is he going to do? Young person might be a disadvantage. We know Carl's over here because he was young. And he was clueless, so he's on that board over there.
Yeah, the speed of youth as well might have helped him out, so he might be...
absolutely. We've seen some very fast young people, yes. So, he's not here tonight. What a relief.
Speaking of the Gordon time.
Yeah. So we're going to go and have a little snippet look, and we've only got about 60 seconds insight into him, and he's over with a good friend of the show, isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
He's over with Mark. I'll do the first name, you do the surname.
That would be Fradley.
Yeah, well done.
So very good with names.
Yeah. He's over with Mark in Tenerife, whose sticker was one of the first ones on there. He offered plain tickets, and I mean plain as in nothing on them. Yeah, blank tickets, for us to go out and see him in Tenerife. And obviously Gordon's taken up the opportunity, and I think he's spent almost a whole day with him. So we've got a video coming in the future with Mark out in Tenerife. But first of all, we're going to just see a small 30, 60 seconds clip of Mark currently leaving, I think, his own spacious villa in his van, and then nipping down to his local wholesaler.
I can't remember what I said myself last time. Hopefully, not to worry. So I'm joined by our tame electrician in Tenerife, Mark Fradley, who knows his way around the whole island and the electrical industry. He's brought us down to the electrical wholesaler.
Yeah, the Elka, we frequently use the Elka, the professional company, and they are the #1 distributor of electrical installation materials in the Canary Islands.
Well, Mark, let's go in and see what we can find.
Let's do that.
Perfect.
Sí, sí.
Yep.
Gracias por abrir.
Spot on that.
Okay.
Perfect.
Yeah, we hope we don't see you anytime soon.
It's always nice to see Gordon in shorts.
Yeah. Anyone who's just eaten Indian food, yeah, fantastic. Right, okay, so I think it's your segment. So, what are you going to ask for now? Where are we going to next?
So we're heading over to the race. We're going to watch the race now?
Yes, we are.
Yes, okay, so we're going into the race now.
Time
Okay,
for
so
another electrician's challenge. Now, tonight's guests have got every excuse for getting this really slow because they make products that work without wires. It's my pleasure to introduce John Farrell and Jamie Henville from RF Solutions.
Hi.
Well, we've lured you up all the way from the south coast.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. Have you been this far north before? That's always a question we've got to ask.
I don't think I've been to Yorkshire before. What about yourself?
Oh yes, north of the border a few times.
Well, there you
Been
go.
to Scotland a few times, but never Yorkshire.
Right. So, RF Solutions, John, you started the company, or one of the
Yes.
founders of the company.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. So,
Yes.
what took you from thinking electricians need to get rid of wires?
Isn't RF the thing? Think back, 30 years we've been going now. 30 years ago, we didn't have hardly anything, just about mobile phones, the beginning of, and think about how our world's changed since then. The advent of Wi-Fi, obviously, and the things we can do now. It's just fantastic, and I just love it. I just love gadgets and bits and bobs, and RF is it.
Right. And your background is electronics?
Yes, yes. Studied electronics, and always been. And then I worked for a semiconductor manufacturer in America. Then I went out to the Far East for a few years, and then came back to the UK to start RF Solutions.
Right. So obviously, we all know electronic engineers think they can wire things. That's always a common, they think they've got to deal at the small end. They can step up. You haven't wired your own house or anything, have you?
A little bit.
Little bit. There you go. You see the admissions in. And Jamie, you work in the marketing team.
Yes.
At RF Solutions.
Yes, that's right.
Yep. And your dad was an electrician, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That is right. Yeah. I think he'd be pretty ashamed to see my electrician's challenge, to be honest.
Well, we'll see how you got on, but we'll start with you, Jamie. Non-electrician going first. Let's see how we got on with the electrician's challenge.
Alrighty.
Okay, I'm going to address the elephant in the room. We've all thought it. We've listened to the interview, and I didn't realise Rowan Atkinson's younger son was going to be on here today. And he's been too kind, Jamie, to suggest and drop his dad's name. But what he did say about his dad, and I know actor, comedian Rowan Atkinson, but didn't know he was an electrician.
There you go. That's a one there, Gary. But that means if he's Ron Atkinson and that was Blackadder, that must make you Baldrick.
I'll happily take Baldrick for a day, but the resemblances are uncanny. And I said to Jamie during it, you must be dining out in every pub. Anyone who meets you, the minute you start talking, eyebrow lifts on the left-hand side, you could just slip into the conversation. My dad, Rowan, okay, you might know him, okay, and then leave it in the conversation. Meanwhile, back at the job, we're getting stuck into the conduit as after I got stuck into Jamie and his person. He's got a nice little smile on his face now. He found this very challenging, didn't he?
Yeah, I don't think he helped his dad much back in the day.
No,
he hasn't picked up any of those electrical skills. What's he doing here?
Who knows?
We're using the automatic strippers.
One at a time, this is all good. Okay, so we've given the best chances by giving him the best kit we possibly can. Everybody absolutely loves these Waco cable strippers. But can we use them in the right manner? There we go. There's a cutting tool. Well done, Jamie. So we stripped the line one. We're back in. Okay. Yeah, it's all a bit fiddly, isn't it? So,
but you're juggling it around.
You can't help but look at him, can you? You can see his dad in him. His dad's a big car enthusiast, isn't he? took on the challenge for that other program that's got similar race walls to us. What was that called? Clarkson was in it. What was that program called?
Oh, yeah, Top Gear.
Yeah, I think whenever Rowan came along, he was ultra competitive, wasn't he, in the reasonably priced car?
Yeah, well, I don't think that's passed on. We've got a non-electrician on a reasonably priced consumer unit.
Oh, I'm glad you said that and not me. That could have got one of us in a lot of trouble, as it's you, it won't be. Yes, the consumer unit from Ludum, which we absolutely love. And Giovanni proved how quick you can be with office hands, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he's the fastest manufacturer on the board.
Okay, he's got a little bit of copper there to get... Oh, wrong hole. Okay,
All right,
so,
okay. Corrected it up, spotted it and corrected it.
He did. Okay, so we're connecting up the socket outlet. We're doing all right for a non-electrician. I think he did himself a little bit.
Cable's nice and long. That's what I like to see.
Absolutely.
He's doing the kneel position again. It's back in there again.
Okay, the kneel position, which was done by
Nick.
Nick
Tucker. It's named after him.
Yeah. Oh, hang on. Whiff of Zach there. Hang on. Where we go? Yeah, just that is a bloke that's never seen a screwdriver before, is it? Poor old Jamie. Okay, so where are we going to strip this one? Oh, hang on. What's happened there? Is that how short is that?
No, he's correct. He thought it was going in short.
Yeah, I thought that was short.
It's good. I mean, it might not be fast, but it's good. It's good work. Obviously, the cable's a little bit along there. We'll have to see how he deals with the getting the box on. Most people, pull the cables back up the conduit. Let's see. Oh no, he's going to fold them in.
Here we go. So this is a reasonable looking time, young man. I don't think he's letting
Screws
himself
in the
down
right
too
place.
much.
Yeah,
Yes.
textbook. You could say, just not very fast.
Yeah. And you can say that Jamie certainly
there's a
listens to
Mr.
it.
Bean look there.
Oh, you had to say. I never once. I mentioned the actor, the great man, and you've now given him one of his characters.
Oh, look at that there.
I am not going to do my impression.
We've had it off camera. We're only on camera.
Because, I need to retain the persona of being a nice person.
One that slipped today with the spelling error. Yes, okay, that you quickly launched into in a live show. So, brilliant. Yeah, Jamie had a little go there. We've obviously had the times come rolling in. We'll be adjudicating those times so we can give out the prize at the end of the show. And that will be a prize that you directly win, unlike Gary's Swap Shop. And you should be playing along with the word time for Gary's Swap Shop.
Gary's what? Swap Shop.
We'll edit that one out. Let's just do that again. Time for Gary's Swap Shop. Okay.
Swap Shop.
So it's a long night, folks. For first, well, talking of fumbling words, wait out and see if you can find out the word that we fumbled during Regulation Corner. Oh, yeah, I said it. Well, yeah. We fumble a word in that, we do. Okay. Unlike on the live telly, we can edit the ones out when we fumble them on pre-recorded stuff. So, great. So, real good sport. Obviously, there was an element, I think, of a famous actor there, wasn't there? That was Rowan Atkinson.
Possibly so.
Rowan Atkinson. What a good sport. Really nice lad came along, Jamie, there from RF Solutions. But we've got another one. It's a double header, remember. So we've got his boss going second time out. Can you remember his boss's name?
It was John.
It was John. Well done. Yeah, you've done that without looking.
Can you remember his surname?
No. Can you? No. Okay.
It's John Owner. John Owner.
Okay. Brilliant. So we seem to have changed the table over slightly here. So shall we have a look at this sneak peek? Let's have a look at what we've got in front of us here.
So this is the Varia Box from CEEnorm, and we've actually done a full video teardown of this product, and it is absolutely ingenious.
Okay.
So it's kind of like, it's a bit like Lego, isn't it? You can have this built to your own specifications, number of different socket outlets and different switches, and even some pretty clever data connections that you can have built into this as well.
And what's quite interesting is that I got sent an email of a specification from a customer, and I got this box built by CEEnorm to that specification. Well, we actually did it as a double header because I also sent that to Rick. And Rick went off on a little bit of a tangent. So when you check out the video that will be released tomorrow, you'll see the misery of not reading your emails that Rick had to live through.
There's a teaching point moment here, Gaz,
Yes.
about emails. Yeah.
So twist those. I love it. Lift it up and it locks. So pull it into position, it will lock. There we go. So we can have a look at these nice A-type RCD protection we've got in here.
So
What's really nice, though, is when you drop that lid down, isn't it?
And we close that up and it automatically locks. And actually, I think if memory serves, you don't even actually need to push it down. You can just, look at that.
Very satisfying. So that's one of the many features that make it good. It's actually two separate enclosures. Okay. Yeah, have a look at, but open this one up because it's got another little bit. I want to give you a little bit of a sneak peek. So can you do the dim rail clips for us?
Absolutely. So I've not done this before, so hopefully this will work. But these slide up and out or forward if you've got this mounted on the wall. Obviously, we're making life harder than it needs to be here. Fighting gravity, but that slides forward so you can access the terminals, carry out the work on that, and then once you've finished, you can just simply
push it back
in.
Oh, and that is just two of many amazing features offered by this enclosure from CEEnorm. So there we have it. It's the Varia Box. Okay, there we have from CEEnorm. Brilliant.
We like that a lot.
We like that a lot, and very much so. And the video is great just from the point of view that obviously during the entire video, Rick gets mugged off.
Yeah. And actually, I've shot another video using this, demonstrating neutral currents in three-phase systems. So Q&A video coming up. So that's a really good one, actually.
Okay, but there's tons of great features. It's tomorrow's video, so it'll be out between 4:30 and 6:30 tomorrow evening if you want to see the full review of that. And it's one of those ones when you watch it, you think, well, that's obvious. Why wouldn't I do that? It saves me time, saves me money, it saves me electrical cable.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
Yeah, you're going to be doing that one. So that's a brilliant little bit of kit there. So we'd like to thank again our sponsors of this live stream. Without putting them up on the wall, we'd like to thank the Seco Group. We'd like to thank My Energy. We'd like to thank Wago. We'd like to thank Doncaster Cables.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm struggling a little bit now.
So we could go for Ludin Palazzoli.
Yeah,
so
and one more.
One more, yeah, absolutely. Can you not remember what it is?
Yes, I do. Do you want to give it to me?
Marshall Tough.
Yeah, it was Marshall Tough. So well done. Yeah.
Thanks, Rick.
Can't remember anything, can it? It's not difficult, is it? It's not difficult if you prepare yourself for these things. So that's obviously got us up to speed with that. We've done the little sneak peek. Okay, so we've got that. Now, Paul, it brings you back into focus now.
Thank you.
Okay, that's not a problem. Well, when we talk about some of the highlights maybe of the last 12 months that I've been involved with eFIXX, I would suggest the awards was one.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I would suggest pronouncing your name as the winner was also a very highlight because we did it in unison, didn't we? And we didn't practice that. We just said it both at the same time.
We pointed to camera at the exact same moment as well, but that got edited out.
It got rolled out, didn't it? So, as we were said, and it's an all-round good egg. Yeah, and we went in with Ian Clark, so which was brilliant. But probably not laughed more than this ever, Paul. And it was predominantly around about the wonderful beverages your wife makes.
Or maybe not.
Or not. Shall we remind ourselves of the wonderful footage that Joe did when he interviewed you as part of the process of being an eFIXX judge? Let's go back and remind ourselves, Paul.
So talk to me again tonight.
So first up, we've got Paul Elcock from Docs-Store. So, Paul, can I get you anything just before we start the interview?
Good cup of here.
Here you go, buddy. Will that do?
That's a good cup of tea, Joe, that.
Well, I try my best, but you can't beat one from home, though, can you?
Keep on to educate my wife. I've been married for 21 years and still keep telling her she puts too much milk in.
Ooh, okay, that may be a bit more personal than we were looking for there, Paul. So let's get stuck into the interview. We can always edit that out. First of all, what did you make of our sponsors? How would you describe them?
Large global brands such as the car.
I think you may be a bit confused there, Paul. The car is a product rather than a brand? Okay. Well, we may have to agree to disagree there. Let's move on. What would you look for in an electrician coming to work on your home?
I would be looking for an electrician to come to my house who, first of all, dresses smartly.
Ah, like this, you mean? Would you allow me to come and work in your home?
No.
Oh. Well, that's a little disappointing. Hope you and me are okay, matey. Is there anything we could have done to maybe make the judging process better for you?
Make me feel more comfortable in either going to a shop.
That feels a little bit beyond our remit there, Paul. I know it's really tough post-lockdown, but sometimes you've just got to get out of your comfort zone. I'll tell you what, let's restore your confidence a bit here. You've listed as your special skill on the judging form as being able to name all the countries that make up the UK. Please, show us.
Scotland.
Yes.
Think Northern Ireland.
That's a great start. Keep going.
Scotland.
Oh, a little repetition there. Try again, mate.
Northern Ireland.
Well, I think we'll circle back round to that one there, Paul. Thanks very much for helping us out.
Oh, we've just been playing it this end.
You can fall out with some people, honestly.
It was just a straight up to camera interview. I don't know what you were answering, Paul. I was trying to help you out.
It has given Ian a bit of a heads up though, with being a judge next year on the panel, that the minute you come in, do not talk about anything when you got a live mic on your words.
Obviously so.
Yeah. We've got another one of those coming up later from Shahid, and as I was sending these out before we released them, I did send them to each person involved to say, is it okay if we send this out? Because I was a little bit worried. And everyone was happy. But there were a couple of people who, before I shot the video, said, no, absolutely not. I don't want you to do that.
Wow.
Yeah, there was a couple of, which fair enough, absolutely fair enough. You know, there's like, you know, some people have, you know, public images to uphold. Paul obviously wasn't worried about
No, not at all, not at all. No shame in free publicity.
Yeah, but there was,
Name the countries that make up the UK. Northern Ireland. And I mean, yeah, just brilliant sports all round. You put it together. I mean,
no,
you are sensationally funny at the best of times. So that was another one of Joe's amazing pieces
Very
of
clever,
work.
very clever.
Yeah, very clever. And worth staying on for shy each one. We're going to look at a book in a minute, but we've also got to ask for some times. I think we're at the point where we're going to ask for the times now, are we? Or we've got Regulation Corner in between. I've made a mistake. We'll look at the book next.
Wouldn't you have been around during
Keep
rehearsals?
If only I was the only one paying
suspense.
attention. Yeah, so there's a couple of bits we want to talk about, but first of all, because you brought this in, it wasn't on the board because I didn't know you were going to do it. You've done a nice thing for us here with this book. So I'm going to bring Handcam in and then just explain to us why I would want to buy this book.
So one of the things that Docs-Stores is really passionate about is hunting out subject matter experts, and this particular book is written by a guy, George Murphy. He's been teaching now for nearly 50 years. He's been a contractor, he's been around the block. He used to help Amtech with their software. And at the age of 72, he's actually still in the classroom teaching 18th edition, 2391, because he's absolutely passionate about the industry still. And this book has been a labour of love for over 15 years.
And what it's doing is it's basically going through the regulations, isn't it? Like section by section.
Section by
Almost
section.
regulation by regulation. It's
Yeah,
quite
right the way through. Talks about abbreviations, so you over and over till you've actually got it. And you know, he's always tweaking it.
Well.
Yeah.
A lot of thought goes into the illustrations, as you just nicely zoomed in on those there, because within the classroom you can talk a lot about what's there in front of you, but even with the descriptions and the text that George has written, with this large text, it's well spaced out. It's written in a way that somebody would speak to you, not somebody that's actually lifted it straight from the regs and has just then tried to put another spin on something that's quite technical and open to interpretation. And that's the trouble with a lot of what is in the regs. And I've sat around dinner tables with the engineers from the NIC, you know, where they've been debating how they would assess somebody on a chicken farm. And, you know, thinking, well, you guys are the technical lads. What is it? So it's just all open to interpretation. Well, that doesn't really help the industry in a lot of ways, doesn't that? If there's something that's written in that. And I think George, he still feels that passion. He's poured his heart and soul into this book, and with a lot of lecturers, a lot of private training centres are actually using that book within their course syllabus rather than issuing out the regs books. The students got to buy their own regs books, but the colleges are happy to issue that to people. And the previous edition was selling well on Amazon. It's just about to go live on Amazon as well, but you can get it through Docs-Store.
But if I get through Docs-Store, I've got something Amazon can't offer me.
You can't, no. So we're very pleased to be invited back on the show today, and as a thank you to eFIXX and to its loyal viewers, we're giving 20% off on the book by using the coupon code eFIXX20 at the checkout in the basket.
Does it have to all be uppercase letters for eFIXX, or is it not case sensitive?
I will go back and make sure it's not case sensitive when I get back. Okay. I haven't tested that, but that's a good question. Now, but just be sure that if you're going on right now, put it all in caps, please.
So the link is in the description. Now, it isn't necessary. I've got to come across the bars at the top to find it because it's in a different section. Tell me what section we're in.
So if you go into publications, you'll find the usual IET, British Standards. Look for Docs-Store independent titles, and it's right at the top row. That's sitting in there.
Now, again, perfect. I think if you've got apprentices, buy them one. You know, just buy them one as a you know, I'm sending you to college with this, so you're well equipped, you're well prepared.
There's lots of questions in the book as well to actually test your knowledge as you're running through that. Also for tutors, if you're delivering the course, as we were talking, Ian, before we came on screen, that you will get classes that will run at different speeds because students will pick up different aspects of what they've been taught, and what that helps the tutor to do is just go to the odds and sods section and just run through those questions while the rest of the class picks up, or I can help this delegate that's here now.
And for me, it's anything from level 2 onwards. So if you're watching this, you've got somebody who's on a full-time course and they're starting off at level 2, I'd say the sooner you get this book in your hands, the sooner you can start benefiting from it. So the minute you're mentioning things like ADS, RCD protection, maybe you want to drift into those sort of worlds, it's all in here beautifully illustrated with a fantastic explanation. So,
and the new part 8.
Yeah, part 8, what's that all about?
Prosumer.
Well done, it is about the prosumer. Yeah, well, was speaking to Shahid today, and he can't tell me anything on it, but he did suggest that maybe that'll be fleshed out in the next version, because it
reads more like a novel this time around, doesn't it? It's more like a story than any kind of technical guidance. Yeah.
So what have we got here?
Lee Winspear is asking, again, I'll read it, Gaz, you've not got your glasses on, who says, wowzers, is there a digital version?
It's been worked on just now, Lee, but yes, it's very much in the pipeline of something that we want to get out there, because you're not the only person to make that request. Thank you.
Yeah, and that's good, but what I would say is sometimes actually people nowadays with the phone and the tablet shy away from a book, and anyone that I taught in 19 years that made the most amount of progress spent a good chunk of their time reading books.
And I have the digital copy of the regs that I use for producing eFIXX work, but I still always go to the hard copy to read. If I'm flicking through for something, I'll often use that. If I want to really try and understand the section, I'll read it straight from the page. There's something about the physical act of holding and reading a book that I think is really important.
I think one of the nice things, I used to talk about this a little bit earlier on, but when I used to run the store for the NIC, EIC for 10 years, NIC, EIC Direct, and we always kept on coming back full circle to should we publish our books digitally or not. And whenever you talk to technical people, that just like you, they want to be able to actually hold the book in their hands, make notes in the paragraphs. And when we spoke to the IET to find out what the stats were in digital regs compared to paper regs, it was a very small percentage of people actually buying the digital regs compared to what you see happening in leisure, recreational books, where people will tend to just go through the novel on the train, on the plane, and before they go to bed. A technical book is something that is to be held.
They've both got their uses. That's the thing for me. If I'm trying to find something specific, you can use the search function in digital, which is brilliant. But yeah, I always like having a book in my hand to read, like you say, make notes, scan through, flick through, go backwards and forwards quickly. You can't.
Great on site. If you're on site, you're not going to take the regs book everywhere with you, but if you just want to check something over, you can search for it easily and find it there.
Yeah, really good. So just remind me, I need to get a hold of this book. I'll go onto your website, which is the link in the description, which is Docs-Store.
www.docs-store.co.uk. Go to publications and Docs-Store independent titles, and you'll find it in there.
Is it on the right hand side at the top? Do I go scroll across?
Centre.
Bang in the centre. Yeah. Go in there, find this book, and if I put eFIXX 20 in the checkout,
20% off.
And that's for today only.
No, we're going to actually extend that through to the end of November.
Okay, that's the entire month, young man.
There's a big thank you for you guys.
No, thank you. And again, I think if you're taking your education seriously in college and you're level 2, anywhere up to doing a course, maybe even on testing, inspection and the regs, you'd be crazy not to take that one on. So you'd be crazy not to take that one on.
Just one last thing before we go there. The tabs were put in deliberately to remind me to talk about the chapter tags. We've already talked about this.
Okay.
But you do see within training centres and colleges lots of little post-it notes sticking around on here. They come out. These are made of vinyl, so they are long-lasting rather than getting dog-eared. There is quantity breaks that are on there. They're discounted down as well from £8.50 down to £6.80. If you've got other mates that are looking for them, there is quantity breaks. So have a look at those as well. They really will help you if you've got any exams that are coming up, or as the book gets thicker and you get fed up of thumbing through it. It's an easy way to find access to that.
Okay, brilliant. That's good. And thank you again. I know you're thanking us for coming on. We've got to thank you because, again, this links into everything we talked about tonight in improving your chances. And every time you improve your chance, you give yourself a chance to maybe take yourself on and further through your career as you go on. So, Joe, where would you like to take us next?
So next, we're going to go over to possibly the hardest one regulation corner that I've ever done.
Oh, right. Stumble trip, we call this one, do we? Fumble and trip.
One wrong word.
Well, I had a word earlier. Yeah. Straight on me.
I wish it was.
I
wish it was.
Talking of wrong words, how did the last podcast go out? I got it downloaded straight off Apple Podcast.
That sounds like a story for the Slug and Pocket.
So we're off to where? Where are we going to?
Regulation corner.
You grab yourself a drink then. We'll see you over there.
Oh, hello. I didn't see you there. Welcome to Regulation Corner. Take a seat, get comfortable, maybe pour yourself a drink. I've taken out a quiet, cosy moment here at Lineside Studios while the building is being buffeted by rough winds and heavy rain. You can probably hear that. And my eye fell across this fascinating device right here. It goes by the name of Optima Reverse, and it's a 3-phase plug with a very special feature. It has a clever little switching mechanism in here that, when activated with a screwdriver, allows you to reverse the polarity of 2 of the phases, meaning that if this is on the end of a motor, it will reverse the direction that the motor turns in. So simple, and yet incredibly ingenious. And it really got me thinking about how this is just the last link in a long chain of connections that get that 3-phase power to a machine. And how that could also be said of us as humans. After all, right now, in this moment, are we not simply the last link in the chain of life leading to us? And it got me thinking about a regulation that, much like a jelly baby, is short but sweet. It's regulation 643.9, which is under the heading Check of Phase Sequence in Part 6 of BS 7671. That's the part that covers inspection and testing. And it reads, for polyphase circuits, it shall be verified that the phase sequence is maintained at all relevant points throughout the installation. So elegant in its simplicity, but so deep in its meaning. It may be that our lives are going along a path that at times seems predetermined and laid out for us, and we just can't see a way to change that trajectory. It's as if our metaphorical phase sequence has been maintained at all relevant points throughout the installation of our lives. But maybe it's the simplest of changes, ones that seem to have little immediate impact, like the switching of 2 pins in a plug, that can not only change our outlook, but reverse the entire direction of our lives. Well, it seems the Ribena has gone to my head and I've been reading far too much into this again. Maybe for tonight, plugs can just be plugs and regs can just be regs. I won't keep you any longer. Thanks for stopping by, and the next time you're passing, drop in, say hello. You know there's always a place for you here at Regulation Corner. Good night.
Out of all of that, the one thing, to be able to drink neat Ribena, I mean, I'd rather be drinking alcoholic beverages, not just because I just like alcoholic beverages, but because I just don't know whether I could stomach 3 or 4 glasses of neat Ribena.
Yeah, you'll notice not a drop of that past my lips in that one.
I'm sure a bottle of red would be cheaper than Ribena now.
Probably would actually. Yeah, but my tolerance isn't. So I couldn't handle that. Yeah. So again, I'm not sure if it came across, but it was absolutely hammering it down and blowing a gale when I shot that. So if the audio quality was not up to scratch, I apologise. But we just can't fight nature.
All the issues we've ever had on anyone who's been to these live streams for a long period of time will know that we've had some terrible issues about not having sound at all and things like that.
We constantly through that as well. Every other take we had the alarm going off. There was a fault on the intruder alarm. So right, this is the one. I'm getting close to the end now. I've got this. Okay, we go again.
So great. So that linked to a video on the ability to change the 2 phases over.
Sorry. I'm going to have to pause you there, Gary. So we've got a nice message from Daniel Shelley. eFIXX, first time watching your content, but please pass on to Ian my congratulations. Outstanding teacher and deserves every plaudit he gets. He was my tutor and couldn't ask for better.
Oh, well done.
Wow. Well done, mate.
20 quid next time I see you, Dan. Thanks for that.
Right, less about Ian now, more about us. Okay, so brilliant. But again, the people that I met on the 30 under 30, we've been to your college, we've been to a lot of colleges, not necessarily snooping around about things, but everybody's got something great to say about you. Everybody's got something great to say. So
great
well
legacy.
deserved.
Great legacy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So while we're talking about apprenticeships, I believe we've got your lad has got a bit of an apprenticeship story.
Yeah, so Louis is now entering his 3rd year, has been an apprentice. I think probably we talked about this at the table tonight before we came on air. Well, he's a bright lad, but didn't want to go down the academic route into universities. He's always just wanted to be out there working with his hands manually. And the first hurdle was actually trying to get work experience and get in there and trying out if you liked it.
Did he go straight from school into apprenticeship, or straight to school into college?
Straight to college, into college, because that was an obstacle. Nobody wanted to take him on as a school leaver and said you've got to go and do your first year at college.
And the more I go back into FE, and the more I can look at it now objectively, the more I look at people, and I'm currently mentoring young Ben who's 15, who's going to maybe leave school and go into being, and I look at him and he's a lovely kid, but he is his age. And I think, well, I went to work at 16. I look at him and I think, I'm not sure you're ready. You probably need a year at college. Physically, Louis doesn't, because physically he's a big lad, and he's a big lad, so he's a unit where Ben's a lot smaller. But obviously, I agree with them now. I think you do need a year at college, but not necessarily for anything other than to work out whether you want to do it. Because you leave school and you think, I want to do something. And then imagine after 6 months of doing an apprenticeship or 6 weeks, he turned up and said to you, I want to jack me apprenticeship. And you'd cry, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
You'd go, so he's gone to college for a year, straight from school age 16.
Yes, that's right.
So he did 1 year of level 2 or level 1?
Level 1.
Level 1, right.
Level 1 that he had there.
Okay.
So quite basic. We're talking about, spent a lot of time again in the gym. There was a lot of free time. Then he was in there. So I think he thought this was great. It was the life. Getting bigger as well.
He's a big lad.
And I think he felt as though, right, I've done my year now. People are gonna follow themselves, and this is what I've done now. I've done my time. Back out again, knocking on doors. Please, sir, can I have a job? And the industry around this area is vibrant, it's really busy, and that led to the next problem, is that because they're all small employers, admitting that they're very, very busy, one of the problems there is that I didn't have any free time to be able to take an apprentice on. As much as I would want to do, it takes a lot of time to be able to actually overshadow somebody and teach them how to do the job as well. So there was a lot of doors that were getting shut in there. So he carried on then into his second year, going to college all the time. The college actually offered at the time, say, well, we'll help you get a job as employers, which I thought was really good. But where we live is on the Yorkshire-Lancashire border, and Burnley College is more into the Lancashire side, so a lot more of the employers were actually coming from that Blackburn direction, the opposite side to us. Eventually, somebody did come out there and say, we need somebody closer to home. And this was somebody typically doing domestic new builds.
So you got an apprenticeship?
So he got his first apprenticeship. Which was a fantastic news.
Facebook lit up in your house, no doubt, didn't you? Everybody in the world.
It's Instagram. They don't do that. That and Snapchat.
So you piled it everywhere. So Louis, he's done it the right way. He's left at 16. He's got a level 1. He's grown up a bit. He's decided he wants to do it. He started a level 2, and now he's got himself an apprenticeship.
Yes.
Must be the happiest dad in the world. Carry on.
Delighted, thinking, well, this is it. Now he's on the track. He's there. He's out the house. 6:30, get the 6:45 bus to be able to get in there into work. All weathers, and different sites between one that's fairly local to having to get into the office and then go an hour away with the van.
Good.
And he's seeing himself as it's a bit of a pecking order on site as to I'll be able to do this house wiring quicker than the other apprentices, and that's when the alarm bells then sort of start to ring as well, thinking, well, you're not actually learning much more than just wiring a new build house. And my fear for Louis then was, what is it going to be like at the end of this? When you've so-called got your full qualifications, how appealing are you going to be to any other employer? Or where is your career going to take you if you want to take it on as well? And unfortunately, the chap had another 4 apprentices, so I felt as though he was just actually using the lads as cheap labour, not just being able to train them up for the benefit of their own careers and spending time with them.
Well, this doesn't sound like it's going very well.
No, so at the end of last year, December 2020, things were starting to dry up a bit for this particular chap, and he laid Louis off 2 weeks before Christmas. Kept him hanging, and just sort of said to Louis, look, now's the time, son. You're going to have to get back out there, approach a few more employers. You've got your experience on site under your belt. Let's go on, because the college aren't going to necessarily find somebody over there. We've been down that track. Get onto the NAPIT registration, get onto the NIC registration, find out who there is local, and rather than emailing them, get your CV printed out, get a letter of introduction put out, and knock on the doors, because that might be a way that you find the actual boss. You might get lucky and see the boss.
So he's now effectively trying to find apprenticeship number 2.
Correct. Yes.
Wow. How many?
That's a big ask, isn't it? Right,
to find one. So effectively, Louis treading the floor, CV in hand, knocking on doors, trying to get a second opportunity.
Yes, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And he's passionate. This is what he wants to do. He's spent a fortune on his Milwaukee tools. You know, Weeha screwdrivers. You know, he's really invested in this career.
It's so funny you saying just then about, you know, the boss using him for cheap labour and that. And I don't know if you heard, but off camera, both me and him were like groaning, like, because it's like, it's just, it happens, doesn't it? You know, you do see it from time to time, and it's like, you know, the companies, colleges try and vet them and all that sort of stuff to make sure it doesn't happen, but sometimes it does. It was just like, oh no, you could feel the story building up to where it was going. Yeah, it's painful. So
not that we've seen that before.
So we're making a plea to try and get Louis a job here from the great eFIXX community.
Well, you lads actually did a bit of a favour for us as well. We actually had him in here doing some work. The lads from Birmingham came up, and we were also really good at giving him some more industrial experience. So that gave him another idea of the industry and the tact that he wanted to go down, a bit more industrial commercial. And he found a chap that had just bought his partner out. He was ready to bring somebody else into the business. He answered Louis' letter, so come in and see us. Right, tell me about you. You know, what do you want? He said, look, I'm willing to work for you for a week to prove for free, you know, to prove that I am going to, you know, make it with whoever takes me on.
It's brilliant. All the advice we give to learners when we go to colleges about work experience, working for free, putting yourself out there, it's like, it works.
It really did, because the end of day one, the guy actually said to us, look, I'm happy. Come back on Monday, you've got a job.
Wow.
Come back on Monday, you've got a job. And do you know what? Louis has not looked back with this guy. They've got a mutual respect for each other. He's a hard grafter. He's in there crack of dawn. He'll work Saturdays. He's anything that's being asked of him. I am very, very proud of how hard he has worked. And I think I was telling you the other day, Gary, that the boss actually was been away on holiday. I think he's back today. He's had 10 days off. There's a site running over in Wrexham, and you know, Louis is there with the worksheets of everything that needs to get done. He's got on his cracked it. He's actually checking other people's work, as subcontractors that are working for him there as well, because he knows what he's been told he's got to do. And when his boss is back tomorrow, he's got a debrief saying, look, this part of the job has gone really well, this part's gone really well. Now, you know, these parts of the job, we've had a few challenges on here around the ducting, because it's not just doing the electrical stuff. You mentioned a bit about the mechanical stuff as well. So there's actually a bigger piece that's coming out of this, and the guy has also got ambitions to grow his business, and I think he sees Louis as part of that journey as well.
It almost links back beautifully to that opportunities thing we talked about at the start, wasn't it? You know what I mean? So, you know, to get 2 apprenticeships is amazing, but to see the second one more maybe as an opportunity now, because you've had the first terrible experience, but you know you want to do it. I mean, to try and grasp the second opportunity, which he's done. Louis is a lovely kid as well, so you know that is just a fantastic story. Now we've been trying for I think 12 months to get him to do the race wall, haven't we?
Yeah,
I think he's trying to build himself up so he's in with a chance.
I think so. Yeah, I think that's right. And I think, you know, it's a good life lesson. You know, he's had that bad experience with somebody that's. I was going to use the words carefully here.
Yes, please.
But taking advantage, shall we say, of somebody that's worked hard. And now, at some point, he will become a supervisor, perhaps have his own business, and he'll remember that tough year that he had where, you know, you're working on a building site for nothing.
That'll probably affect the way that he looks after apprentices when he's caring for them as well. You know, I would imagine he'll probably be aware
both sides, both sides how he's been looked after now.
The way that he cares about him.
But when you potentially got to work from the age of 16 to 67, unless they kick that football down the road next week, if you have to give up a year or so and find out that maybe things didn't work out, whether it be the right job, wrong job sort of syndrome, or right job, wrong employer, in the grand scheme of things, when he's sitting there at 30 and his life's developed as it is, that year's going to be irrelevant to him. Yeah. But at the time, I know we had a lot of conversations at the time. That was as a parent, not as anything else, as the dad of somebody who's doing something you're so proud and it all goes pear-shaped. To have to repiece that together is an amazing journey for you as a dad.
There's a lot of pressure on young people, you know, right the way through, and you know, it doesn't take a lot to knock the confidence, and then to start saying, is this the right thing for me, or should I then give this up as a bad job job and go and get a job in a no disrespect, but in a pub, you know, and you know, just go.
Said that several times.
You know, but you kind of see that there is a good end. There's an end in sight, and if he sticks at it, then it's going to be good. And a big shout out to Burnley College. I think, you know, it's one of the top colleges, I think, in the country.
Talking of Burnley College, let's jump over here to Burnley College. Get your microphone on, man. Burnley College, is that something that's close to your heart now?
Yeah, I've recently started my evening course there, yeah.
And have you told the people at Burnley College what you do for a living?
No, I haven't.
No, what would you suggest you do for a living?
I might have told him I work for a marketing company, an electrical marketing company.
Okay, and what do you do within that electrical marketing company?
I do their installations.
Okay, but you're on 2 videos with me coming up very shortly. I think we've got one at the weekend. We do one tomorrow, one at the weekend, 2 in 3 days. You're going to be on the telly.
I'm busy.
You are. So if you go Burnley College and you're doing the level 3 in the evening, make sure you rat him out in the next lesson.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Busted.
We did him on Instagram earlier as well. So that's great. So talking of wanting to get Louis in, I want to get Louis in because I want to hear his journey. I want him on the couch. We tried to get him on the couch this week as well. That didn't happen. But we'd like him to do the Electricians Challenge, and that brings you in, Joe, nicely, doesn't it?
So we're back to the second Gordon time.
Yeah, so we're on another time in. Who's doing it this time?
So this time it's John. Who he's
John
not
Boss.
He's not called John Owner. John is the owner of RF Solutions, and slightly more mature gentleman, slightly more experienced perhaps. So you know whether that adds to your speed or whether it detracts from it. That's up to you to decide. So yeah, have a guess.
I'd say off his hands when I met him. They were rather soft. So we're going for a second time. So hopefully you've entered on the first one, waiting for the end of the show to find out if you've won one of the fantastic stripping tools that are used on the EV Ultra from Doncaster Cables. One of the sponsors of the show, along with Vargo, Marshall Tuflex, My Energy, the good people at Luden Palazzoli, and who else?
The Seco Group.
Yeah, well done. Yeah,
what's going on here? I'm getting there.
You said earlier you were going to concentrate.
Yeah. So get your times in for that one and see if age and experience can oversee youth and enthusiasm. So that would be interesting to see that one, won't it?
Yes, absolutely. So are we going to go over to Stitch Up Shahid now? Is that?
Yeah. Shall we?
Well, the times are coming in.
So we'll wait for those times to come in. You stitched up a number of people, but I've edited Shahid's down slightly, so it's a little bit shorter now. Yeah. But let's have a little whiff of how Shahid caught the Joe tongue, I would suggest.
Okay. It feels like we're not getting much out of you here, Shahid. Let's try and break the ice a little bit with some more personal stuff. Let's start with a joke. What kind of van does an electrician drive?
I don't know, there's loads.
A Volkswagen.
That's all right.
Okay, so now you're a bit more relaxed. Let's talk about some personal stuff. What do you like to do to unwind?
On a night, well, I'll log into YouTube and I'll watch some eFIXX videos.
That's very kind of you to say, Shahid, but I'm not sure that's quite what we're looking for in terms of relaxing activity.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.
Well, that may not be entirely true, bud. You did tell me about a dream that you had the other night.
On a farm, and they had drones and all sorts of stuff, and there was a lot of automation on there. And that was a really exciting one for me.
And when you were in your dream, how would you describe the noise that the largest drone was making?
It's buzzing.
Only to be expected from a drone? And were you by yourself in your dream?
And there were a couple of good ECA members as well, so that was nice to see.
You see what I mean? I think you need to find a way to switch off before bed, and while eFIXX videos are great, there might be better ways of relaxing. Anyway, let's conclude with your special skill. Children's TV shows. Can you name the motto of the children's TV show Record Breakers?
Dedication.
Very good.
It's the key to success.
So close. It's dedication's what you need.
Pretty cliche, but...
Yes, but it's still the right answer to the question.
Yeah, again, we've been watching it. Yeah, we turned the sound up our end. I don't know how many times I see them vignettes. Are just
it's so funny though. Like looking back, I'm like, I know what I'd do slightly differently. I know how I'd tweak it a little bit.
I realise that none of the judges are going to talk to you.
Well, this is the challenge, isn't it? Yeah, getting the footage for this year's could be a little bit.
We've got a whole episode that you did live at Lineside Studio, where the footage.
The trip you up, you know.
Yeah, it starts with a cup of tea and then we just go from there. Yeah.
So who would you say is your biggest fan? Me mum. Oh, your mum.
Apparently Dan tonight.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, so superb. So Tom should be coming in.
Yeah,
so
I was just going to say, if you want to watch the whole of that video, because that was video is online. I think we called it "What Happens When You Borrow a Bit from the Apprentice" or something.
Yeah. Joe puts it in.
Yeah. So check out the whole video because it was a labour of love.
Yeah, it was good fun. So that means we must be ready for John to take on the race wheel from RF Solutions. The owner of RF Solutions is going up next. So hopefully your times are locked in, and we're very close to giving away our prizes. So let's go over and see how John got on.
Okay, so Jamie, you've had your go. So John, are you confident on this?
Well, it'd be good to be somewhere reasonable, wouldn't it?
Well, let's see how you got on the Electricians Challenge.
So John, pretty methodical once.
He as well. Background, but again at the RF side of things, so he's not necessarily that used to dealing with wires or big wires, always small wires.
It's nice to say it doesn't need any wires, but they do need powering, Gordon. I think that power is going to come in through wiring. Maybe the other end might be running off a battery, but at some point you've got to be powered. So he's had some connection with wires.
Yeah, you can hold a screwdriver. We've learned that already. And he's a sort of
sacking.
There's a combination there. He's kneeling on the step. And sort of not quite getting down into the kneel position.
Okay, which was...
named after Nick.
Yeah, absolutely. The Zach was holding in the middle of his shaft. Okay, so let's hope he straightens it out. That's reasonably straight, and up we go. There we go. He's got his own tools in the way.
Okay.
No, we're back in again. So,
attempt number 2.
Here we go. Yeah.
Here comes. Take it easy, John. Remember, it is a race.
Yeah, it's... We're drifting back to our... We've got a few little patches that are a little bit thin. Maybe it's the time for a rug to come out, as in not necessarily on the head, but certainly in front of the half.
Yeah, there's been some burning coals dropped in there at some point in time.
Maybe, yes. Okay, so on we go. So
now, sometimes people hoodwink you, because this looks...
What's the old saying? If it looks slow, it is...
Usually is.
Slow, yes.
But we always say, always faster but slower.
Yeah, you've heard that a lot of times in the past. I think that's almost isn't that almost a saying that we had on a Wiedersehen pet? I think one time when we were in Dusseldorf and they went out in the evening.
I think the first night we were in Dusseldorf.
Yes, I think it was.
Someone ended up with a tattoo.
They did.
Or
yeah, they did. We've mentioned that before, but I think our good friend Oz was faster but slower. Was thrown at him at one point.
All great people from the northeast.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
And obviously, he wouldn't say that to his face because he did do a bit of time.
He did. Yeah, it was a bit of a character, and he also said in his autobiography he hadn't have made it as an actor. He certainly would have made it as a property developer. I think he had some decent properties. Yeah, I've read his autobiography. Have you read it?
I haven't. No, that's one for the list.
It's definitely worth reading. It's an easy read as well. You can imagine.
Simple words.
Well, no, lots of bigger words and very few on each page, so it's easy for going to get through.
No, hold on. We've got a full kneel going on here.
Oh, right. Okay.
Look at that. We're nearly worshipping the board here. We're that close to it.
You like it? Yeah, we're down into the John worshipping position. Bishop John, maybe we'll call that one, or something like that. I don't know.
Right, screws are going back in, and all this excitement we've got distracted from the job in that. Look, he's nearly put all screws in without the screwdriver.
Overrated screwdrivers.
And now again, he's doing the Zach.
The Zach.
With actually using the handle. Oof. So how did you both find that experience?
Pretty awful.
All right, pretty awful. That was got lofty ambitions for you.
Glad I tried.
Glad you tried.
Yes.
You can realise what the challenges the customers face.
Yeah, absolutely.
And for you, John, are you?
Same. I just couldn't do it. I just couldn't get with it. It's just tricky and fiddly and
very fiddly.
And yes.
Yeah, but I must say your products, right? And this is just a shameless plug here. They do tend to think of the electrician.
We try and aim for easy install by electricians.
Yeah.
We want the electricians to be happy, think our kit's great, and give them an easy install experience.
Yeah, and I found that there tends to be generous amounts of wiring room, and the product seems well thought out with the right cable glands and enclosures and things like that.
And please give us the feedback, because often the time we don't know unless people come back and say, by the way, it would be so much better if you just did this. And that's so important to us.
Well, that's good. So I'll leave a link where you can do that. John's personal home phone number. You can do that whenever you're struggling on site. But thinking of feedback, let's have a look across at the leaderboard. Well, Jamie, you might as well go. Where do you think you came in there? Just look. Where would you like to be?
I'd like to be on there.
Right. That's
For a start, I probably somewhere near the bottom, maybe.
Oh, that's good. I think that's the first time I've ever one wants to be near the bottom, but that's good. At least you're
I
on
don't
there.
want to be near the bottom. Nobody wants to be at the bottom, right? But
And for you, John, where you gone there?
Well, it's a long way up, and I just don't know how anybody can do it. Anything above that, I just 2 minutes 53. Really? Yeah. Is that a human did that?
Well, we'll find out how close to being human you are. So, we'll start with you, Jamie. You did this in. You are on the board. That's good news. That's good news. And you are at 7 minutes and 14, which puts you just below Aaron, which is a new hashtag. And John, actually, this is pretty good. You did this in 4 minutes and 11 seconds, which actually puts you above people who are real electricians.
So welcome back, everyone. Thank you for watching the Electricians Challenge. Well done to Jamie and John. Jamie and John. So yeah, well done to them. We've got the prizes to give out. So we'll start with Gary's Swap Shop. So there were 38 players overall. Thank you for entering. First winner is Chris Lockyer. And the second winner is Terry Moore. He's definitely won before. And we'll go over to the GT time. So for the first challenge wall, which was Jamie, the winner is Chris B. And the second one is the same person who won last week, actually. It's Stephen Skillen.
No.
Yeah, 2 weeks in a row. Well done to you.
Still waiting for the stuff.
Has he been sneaking?
He'll be waiting twice now.
Still waiting for it. Right, okay, so let's just, because they didn't, let's confirm how we can get back in. What's happening? You know what I mean? You got the wrong one. We'll get the right camera then. We'll have to talk when I'm on camera. Put yourself back in. Okay, so what we've got there then is obviously Gary's Swap Shop winners. You've won actually nothing at the minute. You've won the right to send me something to do with time. Okay, so when you've done that, obviously, then I can send out. So you need to send me something to do with time, whether it be a watch battery, a watch, time clock, something in the post to Lineside Studios. The address is in the Get Involved tab in the description if you want to send that over. Once you've sent it to me, you must leave a letter in there telling me, everybody that I'm your favourite presenter and your address. So then I can send out within 28 days your Gary Swap Shop goodie bag. Unless I get that timepiece of some sort, then you won't get your prize. And that's usually the sticking thing. We've got a 50% hit rate. So it's a bit like students. You ask them to do something, half of them don't bother doing it.
And you think he's joking about the letter saying he's your favourite presenter? We've got them up on our notice board in our little canteen, I've noticed. Oh, that's new. When I came up this time, I thought, some nice letters here from people. Gary's my absolute favourite. He's the most handsome, isn't he lovely? Signed Gary's mum.
Might be somebody else's mum soon, who's our new super fan. So that's one thing in order to get involved with Gary Swap. If you've won the GT time, it's the Get Involved tab. You just need to leave your details in there. And one of you will be getting 2 prizes in the post eventually when they get out. So we're slightly behind on the post at the minute. I think it's a bit like being nominated for an eFIXX 30 Under 30 award. I think sometimes just thinking you've won a prize is like winning one here at eFIXX. It's one of those, isn't it? So I thought I'd won myself a voltage indicator, had the euphoria of having it. Never came in the post,
had
but
to
I
do
had
something,
and
it all fell apart.
Once eFIXX got involved on the postage, it didn't actually get to me. So brilliant. So we had those wins. We've had some great guests tonight. We've had Ian Clark, College Lecturer of the Year. Unfortunately, you've got not a lot of time left. I think it's about March time. You'll have to relinquish that of being the #1 lecturer in the country.
He gets to keep his plaque though, doesn't he? We're not going to go and take it off him.
It's a plinth holder though. Keeps the plaque, it keeps the plinth.
Can I have an extension because I've had 6 months sabbatical?
Yeah, no, just, So obviously, and again, it's in the link in the description for all the categories that we can do. There'll be more than one thing you can vote for, even if it's only your wholesaler of the year. If you go in the counter and there's some great cups of soup, nominate them. Have the pride of at least going in there and saying, I nominated you as the best wholesaler. How are my discounts looking moving forward? Rick's just brought it in on the screen. You do it on a mobile device, Google search for eFIXX Awards, and here we have the 30 Under 30 section that you can see here, coming through, scrolling through, and then nominate yourself if you want to, or nominate somebody else. There's no problem with nominating yourself. Unfortunately, the process is slightly different at the next stage. If you nominate yourself, it's no harder, it's just slightly different. So that's good. And we've also had Paul Elcock, second-time guest, haven't we?
Yes.
And you've got some news for us on
Yeah,
sales.
so big thank you to Ryan Fuller and Lee Winspear for ordering your books. I'm going to send you in a set of chapter flags as well with your books as a thank you. So they'll be dispatched tomorrow. You'll get them for Friday. I was just showing off that. I was just showing off. We don't go with Royal Nail. Royal Nail's on strike 3 days this week, 3 days next week, 3 days. They're going to miss my birthday. I'm not going to get any birthday cards this month.
Just showing off. Look, we get our post out really quickly.
Absolutely, don't mess around. It's all about customer service, boys.
Joe's actually over there ignoring you completely.
He just muted your mic.
Not so close.
So Paul's last time on the show here at eFIXX. We'd like to thank him for coming on for his last ever time here on the Super Duper. Well, that's great, isn't it? So 2 people have already taken. I mean, you'd be naive not to take that plunge because I think it is fantastic. I think that is a fantastic book. And Ian, you're licking your lips. You're wondering whether you take that copy, aren't you?
I'm not sure that might be going back with us.
That's leaving in the electric car with your electricity.
Mr. Freeloader.
It's been a good night.
Free meal.
Yeah, free curry, free electricity, free book.
Yeah, I charged up at work, then I drove to eFIXX. I charged up at eFIXX. I filled myself up with food. I took a free book and got home again.
It's done all right, haven't we?
It's done all right. And again, hopefully anyone who's hopefully tuned in or will tune in the future, because this will stay on YouTube for all time, can come in, and it's worth just circling back into your story. If you were teaching me, I'd think, wow, this bloke's got some character behind him. Because obviously I think sometimes they think it's just a teacher. You've got some pubs and all the rest of it. It's good fun, isn't it?
Teachers and teachers, isn't there?
I think to bring to the story, I've got a lot of lifetime experience of different things.
Yeah, it's good.
Sure.
And that links us back to the subject that we started off with, doesn't it? We started off with taking those opportunities, and life is one big opportunity. The only thing you're going to run out of, it ain't going to be money, it's going to be time. Eventually, time will run out for everyone. So with that in mind, we'd like to say that our time this evening has also run out, as we're not going to go beyond the world record-breaking 2 hours.
We have gone long tonight,
Too late.
2 hours, 2 minutes.
We've gone over 2 hours. So it's first time ever. And I think that's down to great guests. So we have somebody who's comfortable and returns in Paul Elcock from Docs-Store. Check it out, links in the description. And eFIXX College Lecturer of the Year, which is Ian Clark. And both of them will be judges. So if you don't win next year, make sure your complaints go direct to the person that says you weren't the winner. So thank you very much for joining us. We're back in 2 weeks' time. I'm not sure whether in 2 weeks' time I'll be on the live stream. I don't know whether that coincides with a small operation I've got to have.
13 a reef.
Yeah, so 13. No, I don't. No. I went California for my holiday, so I didn't get to the sunny Tenerife.
California?
Yeah, California.
Nice.
Yeah, it was lovely. Cliffs, Great Yarmouth,
Yeah,
and it always
it
is.
the classic joke.
Absolute classic joke.
It was worth hanging on for 2 hours for.
Yeah, we got to the end for that one. And I do go live again, College Connections. I'll be joined by my great mate, not this one, not that one, not this one as well. I'll be joined by my great mate, Marcus, when we go to now Nottingham College on the 28th. We do a live stream for apprentices that everybody should be involved in, because it's not just about apprentices, it's the electrical input that I need from electricians and people deep in our industry that also help the conversations in there. And we'll be doing that in Nottingham at 12:30 lunchtime on the 28th of November. And I think our chosen subject for that one is going to be around things like tools. That seems quite obvious, doesn't it? The end of November talking about tools, because some people celebrate in December a festival that might mean that you might get a few tools. Is that the sort of things you're buying Louis nowadays for Christmas?
Can't afford to do now. Well, there is shopping list.
Well, if we hang on long enough, we might get a couple more sales.
Centre aisle and needle. Set of screwdrivers to the centre aisle. It's called the centre. I hadn't. Let's drift quickly. I don't go in many Lidls.
Middle of Lidl.
Yeah, and it's actually called the middle aisle, isn't it? There was a big
Lidl.
Yeah, I didn't realise that.
Can I just also mention, this is distracting from one of your friends out here, but there's some VDE screwdrivers in there, proper VDE screwdrivers, £6.99 in Aldi last week.
Wow.
You could not buy them at that price 4 years ago. I was buying 500 sets at a time. You could not get anywhere near that price. Wow.
Still new 12 months later, but
yeah, that's a good little one. Yeah, so I laughed. I was like, well, no, they call it the middle of Lidl.
The middle of Lidl.
I was like, this is really odd.
However, of course, we'd also just like to say thank you to our sponsors. So we'd like to say a big thank you to Luceco Group. We'd like to say thank you to Marshall Toughlex My Energy. We'd like to say thank you to Vargo and Doncaster Cables. And who else would we like to say thank you to, Gary?
No idea.
Oh, it's difficult, isn't it, when you're on the receiving end? You know exactly what
not
it is.
Not a clue.
Have you not?
No.
You can do it.
No, I can't without looking at the board. I'll never get it.
Gary,
no.
I've got every confidence in you.
What? That Ludon Palazzoli wasn't mentioned?
What a guy. There it is. Well done.
It's been great. Thank you. If anyone got from the start to the end, leave a comment as well.
Yeah, well done.
I would imagine nobody did, but if you jumped in towards any part of it, hopefully you enjoyed our live stream. We certainly, this is one of my favourite ones I've ever done, and your story was enlightening all the way through, because we didn't know all the elements of that, so that was really good as well.
It always goes really quickly at this end as well, doesn't it? It doesn't feel like we've been talking for 2 hours. It's fantastic.
It doesn't. So, like I said, back in 2 weeks. We won't be. Will we be Regulation Corner in 2 weeks?
No, I think we'll be having a little breather. So unless we do something a bit special, I think it'll be a week without a Regulation Corner next time.
Okay, but got I think next time up on the race hall, I think it is R. Davis Electrical.
Ah, that'll be a
it
good
is
one.
R.
I
Davis
haven't seen that, so I don't know how we did.
So we haven't commentated.
I know there was a bit of an outtake, wasn't there? Did it go live briefly, I think, to YouTube?
Well, let's put it this way. He did 3 race halls. We published the first one fully live onto YouTube with all the extreme banter that would have been around it as well. So that went straight on live, and we got, I think, 800 views in about 14 minutes. That was a bit worrying.
That's been taken down now.
That was taken down. We were a bit worried that it might have been a little bit colourful. It wasn't, but yeah, on that one. Obviously, then we had the outtakes that we saw, and one of his attempts, he had a full refusal at the start. I mean, so you can imagine being on the blocks in the swimming pool, Olympic final, 50 metres breast, and the bloke next to you's done the bum bob, and you've gone, right, we're in, and gone. You're halfway down there, and he'd done a full refusal at trying to start the button. He couldn't. I went, when you're ready, and he full refusal. So yeah. I said, if that had been the 100 metres, you've been disqualified.
He's still on, bless him.
He is.
Well done, Ryan.
Well done, Ryan.
Oh.
Yeah,
those seats are well uncomfortable. What are you on about? We give you a cushion and everything. I
actually took, there was 5 cushions on here, so I took the extra one away because somebody was having one as a back support. I thought, well, I can't give it to myself. And I thought, nah, we'll all just go for one. Yeah, so I took it and chucked it down there. Yeah. So I levelled the playing field.
Always nice to hear from Mike Davies of Residual Current there. Anyway.
Yeah, Residual Current, yeah. It's all good. Yeah, winner of a 30 under 30 award.
I
had to recuse myself from that one because I got his number in my phone. So good. Yeah, but no, fair play to Ryan. Ryan was great sport. Yeah, so I think that's the next one up. We've waffled on for long enough now. We'd like to just say thank you very much for everyone that supports the fortnightly live stream. Remember, the 28th, I'm going live again with my good mate Marcus as well. Until we see you again, check out the videos that will be dropped tomorrow on the CEEnorm.
Yes, the Varia Box.
Yeah, and Rick's out again at the weekend as well. Rick's got 2 videos in the next 3 days, and he's also got a secret admirer.
Handsome Rick, I think they call him. Handsome Rick.
So on that note, we'll leave you. We'll flick over to Handsome Rick so he can say goodnight.